All right, it's Friday night, and you know what that means? It's Sportswire Radio to talk about all the latest happenings here in the world of sports, ranging from WWE, the road to WrestleMania, the fallout from SmackDown, AEW, well, what's left of the ratings, the NHL as we're getting ready to the playoffs. The playoffs just a couple of weeks away. March Madness, men's and women's basketball. NBA is heading down the stretch. Baseball has started and everything else in between. And to join me of a cabal of people here from Sportswire Radio to kick things off, he is the co-host of here for Sportswire Radio for all the latest happenings here in the world of wrestling alongside me. He is also the host of the Hockey Fan Chat. He dabbled a little bit in the world of professional wrestling, and I'm talking about none other than our own Hall of Famer, Mr. Randy Dillon. Randy, you've got it covered here. You got the Capitals hat because the Capitals are right now in that last playoff spot. You got the WWE Championship belt, and good to be with you, my friend.
I'm always a pleasure to be here as well, Tom. 8 days away from WrestleMania. I don't know if I can hold in my excitement. We're that close away from, I think, one of the possibly best WrestleManias we have seen all time.
I would hope so. I mean, certainly let's hope it lives up to the hype. And, speaking of hype and a person that finally made her official debut onto the SmackDown roster, and I feel like, Randy, we've been talking about her, it feels like for months now, maybe 8, 9 months now. That is Jade Cargill. She officially debuted on the SmackDown roster, and boy, she looked phenomenal tonight. She was impressive, and I think that she's picked her side when it to this fight with Dan. Randy, how did you like the debut tonight to kick things off on Sportswire Radio, where all wrestling matters and all sports matters, of Jade Cargill?
Well, Tom, 7 months later, we finally get to see the debut of Jade Cargill. She came in with a nice promo thing. She is here. She wants to be with the best of the best. And you know what? The coach mentioned this, I think, last on Monday, saying how we're just going to see her throw around damage control. And that's what she did. She easily
And
dominated.
how about the end of it, where she kind of just like licked herself up? She had that look like a mock pin, and how
Yeah.
she just the move set she had. I mean, she looked great. There's no question about it.
Absolutely. The one thing I noticed there, and I know it's been a while since we've been AEW, but she was more clean. I just felt like her moves were so much more cleaner. Like everything wasn't crisp. It wasn't kind of quick go. It was like she really emphasized making that impact. And I think this is what we've been waiting for her to see. And we're going to get so much more. And most likely at WrestleMania, we're going to see her in a debut match with the likes of Naomi,
Well,
Bianca
I think
Belair
we kind
again.
of have an idea of where it's going to go. I think it's going to be that 6-woman tag
Yeah.
match there with Naomi, Bianca Belair, and Jade Cargill against Damage Control. I think we're pretty much going to be
Yeah.
set after what we saw tonight because we've only got one more SmackDown. And I would have to think, Randy, that's the match we're going to see.
Absolutely. We're going to see, and I think we're going to see the exact same thing similar to what we saw tonight at WrestleMania in front of a much bigger audience, a global audience, to see what Jade Cargill we're going to be expecting from her down the line and going forward.
Let me ask you a quick question. I want to say hello to Ron Franklin. Ron, I gave you the link, so if you'd like to talk for a little while, you're welcome to talk on the wrestling end. Obviously, I don't know if I'll have a seat for you on the sports end of it, but I'll get to some other people who have been friends of the show, and of course, Ethan Sorensen. But you talked about Jade Cargill being a little bit more clean in her moveset tonight. Do you attribute that to her being in the performance center for all these months, I would imagine?
Well, absolutely. You have to attribute it here because I think we've talked about this, Tom, how WWE is a machine. They want everything to be clean, crisp. When things are not done right, it's so easy for everyone to pick on it. I think that's what the Performance Center has been there for. And look what it's done. Like, I'm going to give an example. A guy like Baron Corbin, for crying out loud, him going to Performance Center, how he really worked out, being now in NXT. Another guy, Dijak, Dominic Dijakovic started there, then went a Slapjack, and then his work has just gotten better. Now you look at the Good Brothers and Gal Anderson. The Performance Center definitely has played an impact on what we were, what we kind of saw with Jade Cargill and NX and AEW and what the potential was. And now that she finally was able to sharpen up those edges, how much
But
better
also,
she's
can
going
you
to
also
be.
make the point that her in-ring experience really wasn't as much as people would think. Sure, she was a part of AEW, but she pretty much just jumped into being a main player in AEW. And her in-ring experience, when you talk about her career matches versus maybe some other people on the women's roster in WWE, really isn't as much. So maybe this is why we had to wait as long as we did for her official debut. What do you say on that?
I agree, Tom, because you stole my thought there. Because the one thing I was going to mention in AEW, her matches were squashes. Majority of her matches were pretty much
Yeah, there wasn't
squashes.
really anything that you could remember that was like, okay, that was a match where you saw a variety of moves, a number of different things maybe she could have learned in terms of in-ring time and such, for sure.
Yeah, so definitely the performance center here has to play because you have your lights of. It's no longer in the days of Vince McMahon Senior son running the place where
Okay,
he
I was like, senior, you could say, Randy. Senior, you could say on here.
we saw the lights of like Nia Jax when she first came about. She just dominated her. Or we saw a guy like Ryback, or we saw a guy who else
Well,
like
Bobby
Braun
Lashley
Strowman.
years back would be another name, for
Yeah.
example, that just ran right through the roster and, probably in ring wise didn't have the type of experience. So you can go back up and down of
Mhm.
people maybe that they got rushed up to the main
Yeah.
roster, where in this case, Jade Cargill wasn't rushed to the main roster, even though there was kind of a push to have that. But if you look, like you said, in her AEW career, the roster at the time in AEW really wasn't as big as what it is now on the women's side. So Jade Cargill, like you said, needed that time.
Oh, absolutely. And she's working with high end talent as well. If you're going to expect her to have matches with
Well,
the likes of
Oscar, I mean, you're talking about Oscar. You're talking about Naomi and Bianca Belair on her side. I mean,
Charlotte
the
Flair when
go to.
she comes back.
Well, I think that's the one everybody's waiting for. And we're joined here by Philadelphia Phillies fan Ron Franklin, who's obviously going to have WrestleMania 40 in his hometown. Ron, how are you tonight?
Pretty good. Having a good night despite we got destroyed by the Braves, but
It's
wrestling
one game,
always
yeah.
helps
I
that.
I
Yeah,
got
it's
you. It's
one
one
game.
game, Ron. I got a bunch of people that want to talk, but let me get your thoughts on Jade Cargill and her debut here officially as a part of the SmackDown roster.
I'm happy for her. She's finally officially a SmackDown wrestler, and it's about time because we've all been waiting for her to be official and everything, and hopefully they put her with someone good.
Well,
I'm pretty
she's going
sure
to
we
be with
all
a
want
bunch of.
Charlotte.
Yeah, well, she's going to be with, in a 6-woman match most likely. So I'm sure she's
Yeah,
going to learn from some of those things, Ron. I mean, with all, due
yeah.
respect. I mean, we'll certainly, find out. Do you feel that the wait was worth it?
I think so because they wanted to. I've heard that it was waiting because they wanted to train her the
Yeah,
WWE way, I
right.
guess, even though she obviously knows what she's doing, but they want her to do it their way.
Which is pretty much what we said there, Ron. Thanks for basically
Yeah.
reaffirming what we had to say. But let me move on and get to some comments here. Want to say hello to my buddy, Mr. Atomic Titan. Atomic Titan was a huge part of things of last night's TBW episode 158. And he's going to be back here next week to talk about his match with Jacob Young and an I Bow Down match. So we'll see of that. Want to say hello to my buddies in the Alliance Wrestling. Still coming off a great show. They had a Gold Rush. They also had a great show this past Monday, and again an indoor crowd doing a great job. And they are marching on to 500 subscribers. Let's say hello to them. Obviously, Ron Franklin. How you doing, Ron? We see you here formally once again. Kind of funny how you did that. Want to say hello to my friend Mr. Ethan Sorensen, and kind of has a question that we're kind of basically bouncing around with. Do you think that Jade Cargill is going to have her chance to get a championship opportunity or not yet? What do you guys think on that? I would say maybe not quite yet, but what do you guys think on that?
Definitely not quite yet because where she said this is the best women's division of wrestling, it truly is. Where you look at the talent on SmackDown, Asuka, Bailey, Io,
Charlotte when she comes back, obviously.
Bianca, you add into the mix. Naomi,
Naomi's back, who's obviously a huge
Tiffany
part. Dakota
Stratton.
Kai, who's just come back being healthy. I mean,
There's so many people she's going to have to work her way. So I don't see her getting an immediate title shot right away or in the title picture. Maybe later in the year, and I'm talking like late, like November, December, or
Oh
maybe
yeah,
early
she
next
just
year.
we're talking now. Today's March 29th. I mean, we really have to see her in this match first, and let's see where she goes from there. How about you, Ron? You have a thought on that?
Um, I think hopefully they do her right, because there are some people that they haven't done quite correctly. I wouldn't say not right now because she just got officially made a SmackDown. She got put on SmackDown roster, and it wouldn't make sense to have her be in a title opportunity yet. I would probably say maybe give it a few months, have some matches, some I guess dream matches, and then see
Yeah.
where it goes
Yeah.
from there.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I think we just said. That's pretty much I don't think most people are going to say anything differently. So okay, so we see Jade. Jade looked impressive. We'll kind of see what happens there. Let's go back and look at a couple different things here on tonight's show. And we saw it looks like the Street Profits are going to have a match. I mean, Bobby Lashley and Karrion Cross seems to be going on forever. I mean, I guess maybe it'll come to a head at WrestleMania. I'll come back to that. But Logan Paul, I mean, kind of clever what he did at the beginning of the show. And what did you guys make of that whole segment there? Kevin Owens actually eats a pin there. But what did you guys think of that whole thing there to kick things off tonight?
It was a pretty good segment. The one thing is Logan Paul made a rookie mistake. He should have booked it first or found the trap door into the ring before. Or
Didn't work out there. No, it
no,
didn't
it
work
does
out.
not. But I like the segment there where it's good to see teams like Pretty Deadly get that tag team win because they are a good tag team. You want to keep their momentum rolling because the win for Randy Orton, Kevin Owens didn't
They
really
didn't need
make
to win. That's
no.
story, classic storyline 101.
Yeah, the only thing is I just feel I understand we've had Kevin Owens and Logan Paul happen, but I just feel he's kind of being kind of the forgotten man at this point because now I feel like it's more just Randy Orton and Logan Paul since the Elimination Chamber, where Kevin Owens is in that mix, but he's not totally in the mix.
He's basically, I hate to bring it up, and before I get to Ron, it's kind of in a way like Sami Zayn, a utility player. You can pencil him in a main event if somebody's out or if somebody's not there, but he's basically really on the outside looking in. He's a utility player pretty much. I mean, for you, Ron, what did you make of the segment there with Logan Paul and obviously, Kevin Owens gets a loss, but I think storyline purposes really was about Logan Paul, Randy Orton, and Kevin Owens. And what did you make?
I liked the part when they went backstage and Logan Paul did some Grand Theft Auto type stuff, and he was trying to get away from Randy, which I don't blame him for that. But I think that was like the best part of the whole thing.
Yeah, you were kind of waiting, right, for something to happen there, and then Logan found a way to get away there, and Randy was
I
kind of
don't I
waiting.
don't know how he keeps sneaking those breast knucks in it. It's like William Regal all over again.
Yeah, good one. That's a good point. That's a good point. So, do you guys think that it'll come to a head at WrestleMania? Does Logan Paul get a loss here, or maybe does he keep going? I mean, what do you guys make of that going into Mania next week?
I really am. This is the one where I'm stumped looking at going forward because I feel Logan Paul. You give him the title. I think was a good move to give him the title. Was maybe a little bit early, but I think going into Mania season, he'll bring that attention. But after Mania season, he's going to disappear for a while. I know he said he wants to be more of a full-time athlete and be a part, but with all his commitment and stuff, he's going to be in and out of the ring. So I think is it more Kevin Owens gets it and you give him another shot with the U.S. title and try to where he can make up from those awful U.S. runs in 2017, or does Randy Orton get it? But Randy Orton doesn't really need it at this point.
I was gonna say almost the same thing in a different way, but before I do that, what do you think, Ron?
I could either see it as either Logan Paul keeps the title or they have AJ have another US title run. I couldn't see Randy going for a mid card title because he's trying to go forward rather than backwards. And I'm pretty sure his main target right now is still Roman Reigns, but they have him on a little side mission, I guess you could say, for right now.
Yeah, I don't think he's
And
going. Ron, you're great, but I don't think Randy's with Roman at the moment, and I don't think AJ's kind of there. So it's either going to be, like you said, does Logan retain, or does maybe they do try to do something different? I mean, I partially agree. I don't think Randy Orton needs the title, but I don't
No,
know if Randy Orton's going for Roman Reigns, because if Roman Reigns loses next week, I think that whole situation is going to be more or less with what happens with The
true.
Rock and all of that. And I want to bring in our coach Chris Craven. Coach, how you doing here? Good to see you. And obviously a lot to talk about here on a Friday. And
My apologies. I was catching the news report. Okay, we're doing some more details on the Key Bridge collapse.
what happened was that Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones collapsed. That was just now.
The Key Bridge here in Baltimore, Maryland.
Oh, okay. I was like Keith Richards.
Yeah.
Oh, the Key Bridge. Yes, I heard about that a couple
I,
days ago.
I work for Maryland Department of Transportation, so I had to pay attention.
Oh my God. I hope you didn't know anybody involved in that.
No, I didn't, but it's been all over the news. Like,
I had somebody message me here in New York that was like, I have this theory on this, and I'm like, no comment. I'm like, I don't know enough about it, but I did not know. Yes, I know you messaged me on Facebook, and I'm like, I'm on the air, but I hope that you're okay and everybody else will be out there. But always good to be with you, Coach. I mean, we're talking about a couple different things. You were first talking about Jade Cargill, her debut on SmackDown officially, and then this whole situation with Logan Paul, Randy Orton, and Kevin Owens. And you have a couple of thoughts on some of this here tonight?
Randy Orton catching Paul under the ring like that was
we were talking about that just now.
Was absolutely hilarious. That made me laugh for quite a while at the beginning of the show. Jade coming out.
You like it?
Like, I agree with her promo. It's about fucking time.
Did you like the way that she looked? I mean, we were talking about the fact, the three of us were talking that more or less she looked cleaner in the ring. She looked like she knew her way around. And we were talking about the fact in AEW, with all due respect to her run there, she didn't really have that many matches. So maybe she needed the time in the Performance Center to kind of build for this moment. I mean, what do you think of some of that? Because obviously you've been a veteran, you're a two-time Hall of Famer, and, you've been in there, so you kind of understand those things maybe more than the three of us would. So what's your thoughts on some of that?
I think it makes perfect sense for the company, regardless of how great or how good she is or what her talent was or her capabilities are. I think it's always a good thing when you want to take something that's great and you still want to polish it up, make it look even better. Okay. So the fact that she was polished up a little bit and the company's taking the time to polish her, to make her a little better, it's only going to help her.
For sure.
So, yeah. Definitely.
We were making the comparison, at least Randy was that maybe it was better that they took their time here versus, like, let's say when people came up to the roster, such as a Ryback, who, maybe was rushed up here, had a big winning streak, but if you looked at the in-ring time that he had, it really maybe didn't show long term. He had that moment, and when he didn't win, it was kind of a slow, gradual decline. But where with Jade, they've kind of taken their time a bit, and maybe that was for the better. Again, unlike some, prior names that were rushed up here with a lot of hype and ballyhoo, and they didn't live up to the expectations, more or less.
Well, I'll give you one particularly, like one
Sure.
that has talent in her own right. She's great in her own division, her own area of expertise. Mm-hmm. Was Ronda Rousey.
She's been a topic all over the podcast this week. Yep. She's talked about Bruce Pritchard. She talked about that guy that you'll probably name that I won't name. And
McMahon.
She talked about Stephanie McMahon gave her a concussion. She slapped her so hard she had a concussion from it. I mean, Ronda Rousey, she has been the topic of the wrestling podcast world. So what a coincidence you mentioned her, Coach.
Ronda Rousey is, but she's a prime example of something or someone that the company brought in and based off where she comes from, her background, or her hype, they said, let's just throw her in the deep end because she had a good debut match that was rehearsed with Angle, Staff, Triple A at WrestleMania.
Couldn't fail off that. She couldn't fail.
It was kind of like I've said this before to people. She's like the female Goldberg. They Goldberged her. Like
Yeah, I could
put
see a
her
little
out
bit of
there, and against your average woman on the roster, sure, she's going to look indestructible. But to somebody that knows how to go out there and really fucking work, how many times have any of you watched Ronda's matches and watched her opponent actually expose her?
Well, let's go back even to when she had the feud with Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair, and you look at their in-ring ability, where Ronda Rousey was going in the ring, right, and she was just destroying somebody in a 2-3 minute match, and that was it. Kind of like Jade Cargill in AEW, obviously coming at it from two different ends, but it's a valid point that when you wrestle somebody that has far more skills, like you said, like a Goldberg really, if you think about it, when he wrestled, the times he wrestled people that could actually go out there and wrestle a match. Certainly Diamond Dallas Page, maybe that was the best match of his career, but even a guy like Bret Hart, where he didn't know what he was doing, and certainly that's the downfall of Bret's career really permanently. I mean, and other guys that Goldberg's been in a match with. Undertaker a few years back, the Undertaker complained horribly about that match in Saudi Arabia. So, when people are maybe not as safe or not as experienced as they should be, it hurts a little bit there.
Coach, I'm going to throw a name out there. Earlier, I was saying Nia Jax when she first made the main roster. A lot of conversation how dangerous she was, how she was able to hurt. You think about her, how they rushed her. If that was someone who could have needed to stay in NXT at that time, another year or two to fix her up, and look at her now after leaving the company and come back, it's like a night and day difference.
Baron Corbin was another name, Rand, that's gone down to the Performance Center and improved.
Well,
I'm glad.
Go ahead.
Oh my bad. I'm glad Randy brought up Nia Jax because she's still an unsafe worker. I mean, she broke Becky's face. I believe she injured Shayna, and like she's just an unsafe worker. They need to do something with her or something because like she's injuring almost everybody she works with.
The best match that she's had was the one she recently just had with Rhea. That's probably the best match I can remember Nia Jax actually being in, where it actually looked like she had some structure to her craft. Now, you can take that to, did she come prepared, or did Rhea walk her through that whole match?
I would say the latter. Would be the more fairer point. Let me get to a lot of people because a lot of people want to say hi, and we have 30 people watching us right now. So I want to make sure we
I
get
put an ad out. I put an ad out about tonight's show on TikTok.
Nice.
Are you on TikTok now? I didn't know you were on TikTok.
So I want to see how many people that maybe watching. I guess
We'll be getting a lot of people.
You can break me, right, Coach?
You know what? I got to be honest. We get a lot of people lately. I tell you what, whether it's TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, people plugging the show, plugging Sportswire from all the shows. Jimmy Controversy shared almost 20 of my clips on Instagram. That got us some new followers. So a lot of different people out there. And speaking of people that shares your name, but you disagree with that, I'm sure I'm only kidding. It is Easter weekend. Mr. Craven Rage. I think Logan Paul is going to lose just like his brother. Well, we'll see. That's a good point. Honestly, Tom, I would say that Kevin Owens is going to win another title, considering he hasn't been a champion since he had the Red Universal Championship. He had the tag team title last year, though. We forgot about that, or we're talking about a singles championship.
He's been U.S. champion too, I think.
Good point. Yeah, a couple years ago he had that. That's a good one, Ron. I think they will give it to Kevin, according to Craven Rage. He also says hello to you, though. He does say hello. So, I mean, he's giving you a sign of peace, and that's always good. Want to say hello to my buddy Nate, who comes via Mr. Jimmy Controversy and our friends at GTS, and he says, I'm here. And how you doing, Nate? Thank you for your support. Want to say hello to my buddy, Mr. Ace Reed of the Wired Up podcast, all the way in Australia. Now, I never asked Ace this question. Is he pulling for Rhea Ripley over Becky Lynch? I mean, that's always a good question to ask our friends down under. Maybe he was happy that, Grayson Waller and certainly Mr. Austin Theory got a win tonight. That's a different conversation for a different time, maybe. Shane Davidson, also another one of our Hall of Famers who I sent the link to. If he wants to hang out for the next half an hour, he's welcome to. And you found me on Facebook. Yeah, I think Jimmy shared the link for sure. But thank you anyway, Nate. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate that. And please tell the world and tell all your friends. Okay, so I got the point on Ronda and everything else with Jade Cargill and Logan Paul. We talked a little bit about, but let's talk about then. I thought another segment that I enjoyed. And what did you guys think about that whole Santos Escobar, Dom, and Rey Mysterio comes out in the LWO? I mean, what did you guys make of that tonight?
That was a good segment, but I didn't like the fact Dragon Lee was a mystery opponent, and this is my reason being.
Okay, give me a reason.
With Dragon Lee, we've seen him come up and down from NXT to SmackDown, and he just hasn't kind of found his grip. I think putting him all of a sudden in this big match at WrestleMania where the LWO versus Lasma Fantasma, it doesn't really make sense. I think, as I said on Monday or last week, Bad Bunny was the person coming in, or maybe Andrade. But I think if it wasn't them, I think Carlito should have been the person to come in because the fans are wanting him. He deserves that. He's really actually never had a big WrestleMania moment as well, so at least give him something.
Yeah, it's a good point. Carlito never really had that moment, and he's been here now for what, 9-10 months, and hasn't really done much. I mean, there really hasn't been much that Carlito's really done that's you can write home about. I'm not quite sure why that is. And, what did you make of that, Coach? It's some interesting points that Randy made. I still enjoyed this segment, but you may be expecting somebody else. I mean, what did you make of that, Coach?
I like Dragon Lee. I like his work. But when that match was announced, I was hoping for I was hoping for Carlito to be involved in that. That's kind of where I was going with like my thought process.
Because there's still unfinished business there with him and Santos.
I was kind of hoping that Carlito either would have been a partner, or maybe you guys just have a 4-on-4, or mix it all up and throw the women in there too. But it didn't go down that way. It's
Zelina and Elektra. You could have did that. Yeah, that would have been a good point. It's a good point.
That could have went a whole lot of different ways. It didn't have to be just Dragon Lee, though. It could have been more. Could have been better.
Were we led on by thinking, okay, maybe it could have been a Bad Bunny or an Andrade? Were we being led on or no?
Bad Bunny would have been funny. That would have been Bad
Bunny funny. Get it? Bad Bunny funny.
That would have been pretty interesting. But I still think, I mean, you could have made it a big 8-man or whatever. But after we saw tonight, you're probably going to get already going to get a 6-man with the women's match. Jade, Naomi, Bianca versus the rest of them's control.
Yeah, we spoke about that. Good point.
You have the big giant 6-man, 6 tag team ladder match. I mean, you could throw all the other competitors in there just to give them a Mania spot. Purposely, though, I think that tag team spot should have went to Carlito. That just hands down. I think if anybody's gonna get a spot to shine, it should have been Carlito.
So what's the point? What's the point of bringing Carlito back if you're not doing much with him? I think that's an interesting point that Randy makes.
It's the same thing that I mentioned about Jade. Like, why bring her in and showcase her so many times if you weren't?
But at least now we had the moment. At least now we did.
And you make a really good point. Moments ago, one of you said that Carlito's been here all this time. He's never had a real big moment.
Yeah, me and Randy were both saying that. Yeah.
Yeah, he deserves it. That's why I was like, Carlito should have been the tag partner.
Yeah, which is what Randy basically said. And, I don't know. And I have a bunch of comments here, and Ron Franklin dropped off, and I want to get to Nate first. Yes, I did see it on Twitter, the thing about Jimmy. And yes, I don't know if I want to repeat too much on the air, but yes, it was kind of funny. But I do hope with you that Jimmy beats Dirty Ron McDonald at Grimomania and keeps control as the CEO of Pro Wrestling Venom. And I'm going to be having the Mr. Rad Dad on the air Monday night to talk about that before Raw ends out. Yep, and I can't wait for Rad Dad either. Mr. Ace Reed wants to say, I reckon Rhea will retain. Becky's already said she doesn't want to win any more championships, what I remembered. And also, I heard this the other day. Speaking of that real quick, as we got 70 people now watching us, so the numbers just keep going up. So, Coach, maybe the TikTok ad worked. Maybe you did something that magically, when you came on the show, we were at like 27 people. Now we're at like 73. What did you do? Did you like pull like the Ghost of Roland Havoc's like 2008 matches or something out of there and get like everybody?
All I did was put a SmackDown logo up and say, catch tonight's SmackDown recap on YouTube on Sportzwire.
74 people. So I don't know what it is, but they're watching. I say if you're out there, whether you're on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, hit that sub button for us at Sportswire Radio 6579. Follow me on Twitter at the Sports Report 2021, Thomas Price 2017, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch at Sportswire Radio. But I did want to come back to Becky for a second because I just read the other day that there was something about a contract situation with Becky Lynch, and does that maybe play a factor where I think Becky only has a few months left on the contract, hasn't re-signed? Then we expect automatically that Becky Lynch will lose next weekend and that Rhea will retain? I mean, what do you guys make of that?
Not necessarily.
Tell me why. Tell me why.
I mean, a contract can be signed at any time. They could reach an agreement or do something.
But it's Becky Lynch. Wouldn't you think it already would have been signed, sealed, delivered? I'm yours.
Comes to whether they have terms on it. But Becky's not exactly that kind of talent. That's kind of like, oh, if she's there to fill a spot, cool. If she's not, nobody cares. She's a high caliber talent.
For sure. Absolutely.
For a while. So
mainstream star, has a book out, has done some acting.
I think, but then again, you also have to think like maybe all the media about it's being released to play you. So you never know. I mean, Becky, I don't, if anything, she may be taking a break, but I doubt she's going anywhere.
You have a thought on that, Randy?
Yeah, Coach, I agree because I was actually listening to an interview with someone, and she was saying my contract expiring, but I still got many more Mania moments to come down the road. So that definitely tells me she is intending to sign because in that interview, she was saying how they didn't tell Seth anything about Punk returning. They were upset about that, but apparently things are working out. The two are able to be professional at this point. There hasn't been no backstage brawls where he hasn't called someone an empty fuckhead like Hangman Adam Page and other people go attack him. But the
WWE locker room, I would think, is much more professional than the AEW locker room, right?
Exactly. But I think Becky, I've said this, Rhea's gonna retain, and Becky's gonna take some time. You gotta remember as well, like when she mentioned her daughter, like she got pretty emotional there when she
spoke about that on Monday's show.
And her father, and I think I said as well. And like as a mother, like she's been away for her kid quite a bit, so I think she would probably want to spend maybe a couple of months with her after this, just to see how things are going.
All right, let me get to a couple things here from Ethan, and the numbers are going up. We're at 84 people now, so I don't know what you did, Coach. I don't know what the world is. The water's
in here because you saw the post, message something. So give a thumbs up in the message board.
So it wasn't Craven Rage then doing anything magical for us, right? I'm only kidding. I'll probably say, Tom, that Rhea is most likely going to retain if Dirty Dom interferes in the match, even though she doesn't really need his help.
No.
And then Rhea and Dom will have a little heated conversation in the backstage area, the Raw after WrestleMania 40.
We saw it on SmackDown right after.
Where they were like, Dom, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah, there's already that heat there. I think the Judgment Day, we've been talking about Monday, like the Judgment Day at this point sounds like they're coming to an end. I think really I still believe Priest is going to cash in on the Monday after WrestleMania, because if Drew McIntyre is going to win, at least give him that moment because he didn't get in the COVID era. And then you can cash it in and see what's going to happen thereafter, maybe in Backlash. I don't know. But it sounds like the way you see it, the Judgment Day, like I always say this in wrestling, every faction has an expiry date, whether it's the Bloodline.
We've been talking about this for a while on the show. When is that expiration date? When is it?
And I think for Judgment Day, it's here. There's not much more you can do with the group. They brought in JD, which kind of gave the group an extra time with the tag team titles, but they did the thing with R-Truth, which I just think really messed things up. And I think at this point, there's not much more for this group can do.
What do you think on that, Coach? Before I get to some more comments,
I stay hold to my prediction from before. I think that they're going to lose the tag championships. I'll even add more to it. I think that they're going to lose the tag titles at Mania.
well, Graves said tonight this was the most that their tag team championship reign was vulnerable to date. So that was the first clue, right? Wasn't that the clue that the championship run is on thin ice?
It's on thin ice. And then you got backstage in the segment we saw with Judgment Day where Dom was being questioned. You also had Damian sitting there saying that it's not only important as the group, but it's important as each individual. And then Rhea was like, you have something to say to me, like maybe Damian's got a hidden agenda. So I go back to my original prediction with Judgment Day losing the tag titles at WrestleMania, Damian getting pissed. Rhea may retain. Let's say Rhea retains against Becky.
Yeah.
That makes more sense for her to keep that right now. And then, but it would even be more of a sting if she didn't. If the Judgment Day throughout WrestleMania lost all their championships, I still see Damian cashing in, not the Raw after Mania, but on Mania. I see him cashing in.
We talked about that a couple times on prior shows.
I see him cashing in at Mania during the Seth and McIntyre match. I had a friend of mine once say to me, well, what if he cashes in on Cody or Roman? Ain't happening. He's going to cash in on...
Why not? Why not, guys? Why can't he?
They've already got so many elements wrapped around the...
I gotta ask. I gotta be diplomatic.
I know. But they've already got so many elements wrapped around and so many extended branches wrapped around this whole angle with the Bloodline and Cody.
Yeah, right? No, I think that people
it would overload it. It would just way over fucking do it. And not to mention the fact that it makes more sense for him to cash in for Seth's title because how many times has he tried? He's tried several times on Seth and it hasn't worked.
And I think Seth is dealing with his own problems with Drew McIntyre. We saw it at the, near the end of Raw. We saw it throughout the segment with Punk.
So and I don't think they're going to remove Damian Priest from Raw. I think he is.
No.
You got a lot of big names on SmackDown. Damian is still considered a big name on Raw with the Judgment Day or by himself. I say, and like I said, my prediction was that this was going to happen, and it was going to cause a feud between Damian, Punk, Rollins, and McIntyre, which is kind of going to give you like a 90s attitude, like remnants kind of feud, like it was when it was Rock, Austin, Triple H, and maybe Taker.
Yeah, or you could say, remember when it was like Austin, Kane, Undertaker, kind of like you had that run for a little while, or
you had several top guys going after the same spot.
Mankind was in there for a little bit. You could throw Ken Shamrock, who was just on the outside of the edge during that time. Triple H, certainly the second half of the Attitude Era, absolutely. So that's a good point, very good point. And I want to say now we have 107 people watching us, so the numbers just keep going up. So they go.
I'm going to keep posting.
Whatever it is at this point, I know it's a lot of it's on Twitter, but it doesn't matter. It all adds up. And Nate wants me to be at Grimomania. Well, you know what? That's up to Grim. That's up to Grim himself. But now overall on SmackDown, was there anything missing for you guys? Anything that you would have liked to have seen tonight?
They were really filling up what happened on Raw, but I think they made the right thing, making it a very short segment. Because I was going
to ask you about that. What did you think about? Because it was kind of like the last several Raws and SmackDowns. We got so much of it, but tonight, not really.
Because I think they want to save it for the go-home show of Raw in Brooklyn on Monday before Mania. Because I think if they did something here, you would have taken away anything was going to happen on Raw.
They're going to have a big crowd in Brooklyn. Brooklyn's going to be a live atmosphere there. Monday night.
Like a chaotic mess on Raw this week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, Coach wants it brawls. We got a brawl between LA Knight and AJ Styles. We're going to get much more of that on Monday, Coach.
Speaking of brawls, that promo, that backstage pre-recorded promo shenanigans between Bayley and Io, that was nice. The way
I was going to get to that next. I mean, what did you guys make of that? I thought Bayley asserted herself a little bit. What did you guys make of that?
You don't see that often where a backstage recorded promo works out like that. Usually, it's just like you can kind of see it's forced or whatever. But how Io talked about everything, how Bayley just ambushing her, and we kind of finally see like Io and Bayley finally get that one-on-one collision where damage control has always been lurking around, but this time it wasn't the case.
That was wouldn't that be, Coach, also another point of kind of reminiscent of the Attitude Era, where you get those pre-recorded or backstage type of segments? That was a lot of a big vocal thing in the Attitude Era.
You're starting to see a lot of remnants of that time frame. It's like it's really like Triple H is putting in his kind of like his memory works of the situation. Like,
well, somebody posted on Facebook 9 months officially now until Netflix or something like that. So I'm wondering if that is that the sign.
I think SmackDown was something. I mean, not SmackDown. Raw this week was something. You had other shows where you've had small little Seeds Planet. It's getting nittier and it's getting grittier. I wish somebody would smack Nakamura when he was doing one of those Japanese promos backstage, but that doesn't fucking happen. Because all you see do is Nakamura talks, and he might has one match every 2 months or something like that. But I do like that the segment with Bayley and Nia went that way. You have that backstage pre-recorded thing. You had the side attack. You know where Bayley's whooping her ass all over the fucking place. That was really good. That needed to happen for Bayley, for the show, for the element of the storyline. That needed.
Well, they needed. I think tonight what you saw was Bayley, and then as a side, certainly Cargill's debut helped, but Naomi and Bianca. And we saw the Naomi and Bianca segment kind of in the earlier to midpoint of the show. They all needed some type of upper hand to kind of make things even. I think they really needed that because they haven't had that.
Right. You see a lot of these people that are getting slapped down, and they're not getting the opportunity to give that receipt. Bayley got tonight. She got to give a receipt. Naomi and Bianca got to give a receipt tonight with Jade's help from what happened last week when they were all jumped. Mm-hmm. So, and it's like you said, Randy, you were saying when you asked about what was missing from the, I personally think that there should have been some sort of involvement from somebody on the other side or with Cody, Seth, or Jay. Even if it was just a couple words being said, because backstage we had Paul talking, Jimmy talking.
Well, I think when we left the air Monday night, and shout out to TBK. Obviously, TBK is on assignment. We'll see him Monday in some form of a show after Raw, and we wish him well. But I think the four of us all thought that we would see something tonight, but we really didn't see anything and had paled into what we saw Monday night, even prior SmackDown. It would have been
cool to see somebody at least say something.
Yeah.
Well, that's my point. I think we were all kind of left, okay, it's going to be a big SmackDown. Now we got to see. And then we didn't really get anything to it.
Yesterday, I was expecting it. Leading up to about yesterday, I was expecting it. But then I heard yesterday that The Rock and Roman were supposed to be on they're actually on the Tonight Show tonight. So they're probably obviously not going to be at Raw. They're probably not going to be at SmackDown.
Yeah.
You're not going to see a retort from anybody. Okay, fine. Like you said, Brooklyn, everything's going off.
Oh, I know Brooklyn, knowing that environment, knowing that building, being in Brooklyn, living in the borough of Brooklyn. I just know that crowd is going to be electric. You're going to get people that are going to Mania there. Remember, don't forget, that's going to be an all-week crowd from people. You're going to get people that are going to be there Monday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that's going to be a big week. That's a huge week there. Because remember, Brooklyn
from Monday to the Monday after Mania, you're going to have.
It's going to be that's going to be electric. And speaking of electric, we have 129 people now watching us. So
I'm putting more stuff weekly. You get. I think you're going to get chaos from this Monday.
You want to say something, Randy, before I get to Ethan Sorensen?
Yeah, the one thing, Coach, I would agree with you because, like I said, they need to save it for this Raw because what I've noted what Triple H is doing is, and TBK say it, they're trying to reel us in, but this week what they've really done is like, okay, now we'll finally give you something to work with to really get you excited. Now, Rock and Cody, that's a different level, but everything else, even we saw the confrontation with McIntyre, Punk, and Rollins, and McIntyre coming on attacking Rollins after the match. What we saw tonight with Jade Cargill, what we saw as well with hopefully what we're going to see maybe with Lashley and the Profits versus the Author of Pain and Karrion Kross, but who knows? But they're really kind of
Yeah,
ranting it.
I think you get something. I don't know how thrilled I am about it. I don't know how thrilled.
And then, sorry, Tom. The one thing I'm going to add with Cody is the one thing they could have done is they could have done a camera shot after it where Cody was getting help to the back or something, or Cody's getting repaired or something, just leaving us in a mess where we could see kind of Cody just struggling, say, what is his next move?
Well, you might see that on Raw. You may see some. They may show footage. What happened last Monday after the attack?
Yeah.
But let me ask you, Randy or Tom, has anybody seen did anybody see the post that came out from the Rhodes family after that attack?
I
did.
saw a couple
I saw Twitter,
Dustin and his sister.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dustin, his sister. There were a couple other people that made comments that are close to Cody that made comments. The sister one is the one that got the most attention for me. Saying that the Rhodes family is not only the blood, but the bones of the heart and bones of the wrestling industry, of American wrestling. And that to me, you guys said this a while back, and I was kind of for it, but I'm not. I think that it can be done without it. The involvement, when you guys brought up the involvement of maybe Stone Cold Steve Austin helping Cody, I
think PBK and Randy were into that. Yeah, I think they both.
I can see it happening. I don't think it needs Austin, but at this moment, after what has happened, I do think that Cody's going to wind up with help that is help besides.
Well, Conrad Thompson made the point on his podcast the other day that there was a clue with that. There was some type of clue with that a Stone Cold or a John Cena could be the help.
Right. There's right now, there are rumors going around, and John Cena was on the Tonight Show this week. I don't know if it was last night or earlier in the week. And he said that he's free that day. He could be there. You've also got reports of Hogan's going to Mania. Michaels is going to be at Mania.
Yeah, but Hogan, though. I mean, we really
what I'm saying is the rumor mill has gotten very carried away about who's helping Cody. And judging throughout this week, what I've heard, of course, Hogan's going to be there. Mankind's going to be there, or McFoley, whatever. Michaels is going to be there. Cena, Austin. Who was the other one that people were saying that was actually supposed to be there?
Undertaker name came up?
Yes, Undertaker's supposed to be there. Even Mayor Kane is supposed to be in attendance backstage. Maybe not his appearance, but he's going to be there.
I don't think WWE doesn't want to take political sides at this point.
Now, I've heard rumors all over the place from anybody that watches wrestling that they think that not only one or two, but a school of fucking veterans are going to come out to help Cody. I'm like, you're doing this. I'm thinking to myself, to these people, you are way overboard. If you think 10.
Yeah, some people are so. But you know what it is, that people are gullible. People,
right?
They'll buy all this stuff and they'll run with it.
It's like you said, planting seeds. If the company is planting seeds, they're doing a really good job of making even the most jaded wrestling fans' imagination go one wild. And I just think that that's an interesting thing to pay attention to, that they're planting. I do. I think the company's planting seeds. Like you said, the production truck last on Raw with the Cena and Austin, and usually for the last week or so, the company's been running around with WrestleMania painted trucks, and all of a sudden now you have this one with just Cena and Austin on it. And in the same shot, if you look in the background, there's a production truck, there's a tractor trailer with Brock's face on it. In the background, far in the background. So I don't know. I think somebody's going to help Cody. I'm not talking Jay or Rollins, but I do think someone outside of that element of those two individuals is going to try to help Cody.
I think the two names that are realistic are Cena and Austin. I think that. Go ahead, Randy.
I'm going to throw one name out there that people aren't thinking, and he had really close to the Rhodes family, Diamond Dallas Page. He is someone that is close.
I can't dispute that. I agree.
Yeah, I can't dispute it, but
But it's
I
going to
don't
be
know.
him and maybe like Austin or maybe Cena. Like, it's going to be one of those two. Like, because I think you need someone close with Cody he can trust, and I think
Yeah, you know what? I don't know. I think you stick to those two. I got a lot of people who want to say, I got 150 people watching us right now, so I'm going to try my best to get through as many people. Honestly, Tom, I think that considering CM Punk said that he's going to be at the commentary table for Seth Rollins' match, that he's going to pull a Batista move, and he'll say, I know something you don't, after the match at WrestleMania 40 and start attacking Drew McIntyre or Seth Rollins. Scooby Stoney, who's backstage, says hi. We'll bring the guys on in about 15 minutes. I want to get through a couple of wrestling things. Craven Rage wants to say, do you guys think that Stone Cold and John Cena will show up at WrestleMania? Since what we basically said that we're talking about that. But also, Shane Davidson had kind of a slight detour. What do you think about John Cena versus Stone Cold rumors? No?
One thing, like I've said, like I think I've said this a few shows back, with Triple H running it, we're not going to get like
Nostalgia?
Yeah, exactly. When Vince McMahon Sr.'s son was running it.
McMahon.
Well, did you see Randy? Did you see on Twitter? There's like a video out there where it was kind of like it was from DX's Hall of Fame induction speech, and they were basically saying like, "Don't mention that guy's name," and they kind of were like having fun with it. I kind of feel like that's going to be us one of these days.
It pretty much is.
I'm already doing it. Like you're not.
I know. I see it. I appreciate you.
You're not supposed to say Vince McMahon, but I say Vincent Kennedy McMahon all the fucking time because I don't care. Vincent.
Well, you're a two-time Hall of Famer, so you can get away with that.
I mean, we can say all of it. I want to go down, we can go worse. Chris Benoit, like we can do a lot of things. Like, I mean, you don't want to beat around the bush and say Wild Pegasus. No, Chris Benoit.
We can. I guess we can say Brock Lesnar again. I think we can say,
right. You can say Brock Lesnar.
Yeah,
you can say him again.
Yeah, but I think like we got so much of a standard of matches, and a lot of those times those matches fell on their face. They were just awful and just ruined their reputation of wrestling. Just put a bad taste. I think Triple H, he's not going to give that. Like the people might make an appearance, but you're not going to get these matches anymore unless he thinks you can go. Because I don't think we're going to see Austin anymore in the ring, like unless he's going to get some stunners. Cena might be able to, but depends who he's with.
I think Cena, you'll get a match from still. I think that there's still a chapter that has to be written.
I would say the same for Austin. Austin did pretty good when he came back and did that return match with Kevin Owens. He did all right. Now, it wasn't the Austin of old, but he didn't fuck anything up. He held his own.
I think he had a great opponent.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
I think he had a fantastic opponent.
And if you're right, though, Randy, Triple H is not going to do certain nostalgia things. You're going to get it in spurts, spots, or small cameos, a run-in, a backstage segment, something that still adds to the show, but doesn't just stink the joint out.
All right, I got a couple of comments here, and I think wrong company, but he meant to say Damian Priest. He meant to say that's the IMF, but Damian Priest cashed in at Mania. We spoke about that. Maybe. Goldust. I know, Coach, you were speaking about that. I think he's still under contract though in AEW. I mean,
I think they're still. I think it's under wraps, but I think, and I could be very wrong. One of the things I keep hearing, on the down low or on the dirt sheets is that there is definitely something that's trying to be worked for Cody to be involved or show up, even if it gets him in trouble.
Does that? But it's almost never happened in wrestling history.
You're right. It hasn't.
It kind of has. Christian going to Impact, I think, one time to induct Sting in the Hall of Fame. But in this sense, Tony Khan's ego and his tough skin won't let it.
I mean, after he bashed Eric Bischoff's Strictly Business podcast, like for being not renewed. I mean, I feel like it's not going to happen. But I got to get an AEW thought in before we move on.
You mentioned this like never happened. Billy Gunn was at his own the DX Hall of Fame ceremony that you just mentioned.
But I don't think that's the same.
Under contract.
I don't think. Yes, I mean, sure. There's Rick Rude. There's, we spoke about the Taz.
Jericho on the Stone Cold podcast, like
Jericho. But I feel like those situations were totally different than being a part of a major storyline while under contract from the company. I don't know. Listen, Coach, you know what? You've been in this sport. You're a Hall of Famer. I know nothing. So maybe
it's a minor moment. It's not okay. In most eyes of people, it could be considered a major moment because it'll have major impact.
I think it would absolutely be a major moment because of the historical impact of it.
But technically, it's company-wise, it's a minor situation. You're not promoting him. You're not putting him in a match. You're not gearing up to put him in a pay-per-view or a live event. He's coming out to do a spot that will probably be no longer than a couple minutes or so. So you're getting him on screen, let's say less than 5 minutes, hypothetically. You're getting him on screen less than 5 minutes, or maybe a little longer than that because of maybe Cody wins and they're hugging at the end, whatever. It's not really it's a major impactful spot for Cody,
right?
And WWE as a company, but it's not it's a minor thing to what it might do to AEW.
Well, listen, and I would say I would love to see it. You know, my philosophy is all wrestling matters. I want to put that out there. I am a big fan of that, but I want to ask you guys before we bring on the. Yeah, okay.
One thing to that.
One point on AEW.
I'll just add one thing to that. If it was any other person, I think it would have happened. But I think I have to still something happened between Tony Khan and Cody Rhodes for Cody to leave and going to WWE. Something big has to happen. I don't think Tony Khan's going to let that go.
I just think, to me, even his comments on other people's podcasts tells me that he's not going to allow it to happen. Speaking of that, I actually heard yesterday, before I get to closing thoughts here, bring the rest of the guys on here, the second half of the show, that Dynamite had 747,000 viewers. This is why it's important. It's his lowest rated Dynamite in nearly 4 years. So all the things they're trying, with Sting out of the way, you bring in Mercedes Moné. You know, you're bringing in Ospreay. You know, you've announced Ospreay and Danielson. You've got Okada. All these people you brought in, and yet nothing seems to work, and it's going the other way. They just had their lowest rated Dynamite in 4 years, and they still haven't got a renewal for their TV deal. I mean, what's going on here? I got to bring it up. I hate to do it. I know we do it every week on this show, but
you know what happens you know what's going to happen if they lose their TV deal.
They're coming to Sportswire, that's for sure. Forget about like every day. We love James Taylor and Anthony Steele and Jack Delta and Jackson Law, but they're going to have to take a slight back seat because we're going to have AEW on Sportswire. So
I think the same problem it's been for a number of years for AEW. They can't build stories to keep their fans interested every week. They put on great pay-per-view shows, like some of the best matches you will see, like where TBK mentioned, the Kushner versus Will Ospreay, an unbelievable match you'll see on pay-per-view. But every week, there are storylines you can't get attention. Let's not even talk about the Collision ratings. There's nothing to keep people interested in watching this show every week. You want to catch a bidder here, but nothing to really get your attention.
I just think 700 to be down. They were at almost when they had the problems with Punk, I think they were just under 1 million, right? They were at 900 and change, right? So they went from 900 and change to now under 750. You know, they could go lower. I mean, I don't want to advocate that. I mean, even though we'll take them on Sportswire gladly, but no, kidding aside, you don't want them to decline to that degree, but it seems like they're going that way. I mean,
and Bischoff said it right. This is a guy who just has his dad's money and he's a mark and does whatever. And Bischoff made a great point. In Canada, we love our wrestling. When an event comes, it's literally booked, regardless of how much they open the stage or not. They couldn't get a place in Quebec where wrestling is hot there to open up the whole arena of about 700,000 people. That tells you something.
That's a lot of black. Then they blacked out the seats. Then that tells you that they blacked, either they peppered them or blacked them out, which they most likely blacked them out. I mean, Coach, what do you make of that? I mean, that's really a bad algorithm. To be down from when you had Punk. You were in a 900K to 1 million range, and we know Punk this past week Raw was at almost 2.25 million. Again, Punk has
a very big hit. I mean, if anything, I know, like we were just talking about the mixture of the companies working with each other, but at this point, look at Impact. Impact started working some deals out with WWE, and now it kind of seems like TNA is getting a rebirth, or they just recently had a rebirth. AEW, unfortunately, AEW can sit there and try to play the whole thing. Oh, we can still go off our own steam.
Where's the steam, though? Where's the steam?
That's could try. Yeah, you're right. You could try, but
they don't even have a new TV deal.
Right.
I mean, I think that's a huge problem.
It is. It's a major deal because Like I mentioned it before. What happened to WCW when they lost their TV rights? They weren't going to be aired anymore on TNT or TBS.
I mean, we will take them on Sportswire, but I mean, I know, Coach, you might have to be sitting next to Chris Jericho in the chairs instead of, James Taylor and Owen Black and Soldier GP. We might have AEW stars on Sportswire streams near you, but I mean, kidding aside.
Bischoff said it perfectly years ago, back when they did the Monday Night War documentary. Without the TV time, WCW was worth $20. It wasn't worth nothing.
The library. I mean, the library wasn't worth much when Vince bought it. What did he buy it for? Like $1 million?
That for a ridiculous cheap price. The whole everything, the rings.
I legitimately could buy AEW then. I legitimately could buy it then.
I tell you what, if TKO comes around with Triple H saying they're going to buy the competition, and they keep going down the hill without TV time, dude. That would just show that right there just shows you the power. That not TKO or UFC. This shows you the power and the popularity and the position of WWE throughout multiple decades. They have either absorbed territories, bought other companies, and even overshadowed and once again bought up companies that came in and made a big impact. I mean, this would be the second major company that rivaled WWE at one point for them to fall at WWE's hands and be bought from them if WWE were to buy this from Tony Khan. Because obviously, like you said, the numbers are going down.
The numbers, just the algorithms aren't there.
No TV deal in the on the horizon.
I mean, I know they brought this ex-COO to be the AEW CEO from WWE, but I don't know what that does necessarily.
Like you said, it's like you guys have both said it, really. No matter what they're doing, it ain't moving the needle.
But look at the guys they have, Coach. They have guys like Arn Anderson. Like the fact that they have Jeff Jarrett there, who did
Malenko's a part of the company too.
Great job with Impact when it first started and got them real heat.
Listen. I mean, Impact got to almost 2 million viewers. I mean, there was a time they were profitable. They were right there, but that we've talked about. They brought Hogan in. That was like where.
Well, what does that tell you? Like you got all these veterans backstage that have the know-how. But it still ain't working. It's the same thing.
You know what? I'm going to tell you this before we bring the rest of the guys in here for closing notes. I'm going to tell you what this exactly is. I'm going to apply this to my political career. This is where there's no order and there's no coordination. We always say in politics on campaigns, all of them I've been on throughout these at all levels, whether it was the state house, the state state senate, the Congress, it was always you needed to have coordination. There had to be order in order to be able to do well. And they don't have that. So they might have the people to cook the meal, but there's clearly nobody's put in the right places. And I think that's the problem that AEW has here. Let me get to closing thoughts from you guys because I got almost all the guys here. Let me put them onto the stage because they want to say hi.
How many people are watching now?
We have 156. We have 155 now. So, yeah, we have 155.
I'm going to keep posting ads. I'm going to have to keep doing them.
Well, you know what? I mean, whatever's doing, it's working. So, I mean, we have 155 people out there. I want to say hello to everybody and want to say hello to most of our guys here from Sportswire Radio and the TSF Flakes. But let me get to some closing thoughts here as the guys are chomping the bits. We have a lot of other things to talk about. I'm going to put one more guy on the stage, Chris Pizzea. We got a full house. So, let me go to you, Randy. Let me get to some closing thoughts from you. Obviously, looking forward to the show. We'll have some abbreviated show on Monday, and want to give you the floor. Want to give you anything else you want to plug, share, or say, and the floor is yours. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, 156 people were just watching us 2 minutes ago. We're at 154, so something must be working.
Thanks, Tom. Always a pleasure. Glad to hear the numbers up. TFS guy, Rob, Chris, always a pleasure seeing you guys. Quick note on AEW. Listen, AEW might have been the best thing for the wrestling industry because they were able to force WWE to become better, but they're killing themselves in the foot. And I think Jake Perry, Jungle Boy, the perfect example. Tony Khan is so bitter and strained up in his ego that he's going to keep him there to punish him rather than just letting him go and say, I'm done with you. See you later. Bye. Quick note in the NHL. Listen, the playoff race.
How about those Nashville Predators for our buddy DK? Oh, my goodness. Those Nashville Predators.
If you got to play them the first round, if you're the Colorado Avalanche, the Dallas Stars, the Vancouver Canucks, if you're stuck playing them the first round, you better be ready.
You better get ready for the handshake.
When did we start talking about R. Kelly and P. Diddy? You didn't have
I guess Diddy is a big topic in the world. It is. Diddy. I don't know. Well, maybe you want to say, well, when will Diddy be sharing a cell next to R. Kelly, right? But different crime, though. So I'm not sure if they would actually be in the same job. I'm not quite sure.
I don't usually get into the pop culture news like that, but I just think that some of the shit that goes out.
Well, you know what's funny?
Hey, Coach, this is my closing set. Let me finish the floor down.
I'm sorry. I had to get that out.
Good. I'm just bugging you, my friend. And then just a quick note on the East. Can the Capitals hang on with the Red Wings? Listen, both teams lost last night. Big games tomorrow with the Capitals and the Bruins. I'll be watching that.
Isles got a win to stay alive, sort of. They beat the Panthers. Give him that.
And then I am recording an episode with our good pal Neil Valapiano to talk about the horrendous season New Jersey Devils had. I know Justin's not here, but it's going to be something
Justin
to
will
talk
be back
about.
next week. Yes.
If you want to hear my opinion, follow me on Twitter at Randy Dillon, DillonDhillon. Excited for Mania. Tom, as always, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that. And, Coach, I'm giving you the floor. So if you want to expound, I guess, on Diddy and his situation, you're welcome to.
I think, like I said, I don't usually get wrapped up in the whole bullshit with a lot of the celebrities and pop culture crap that comes out like that. Not the negative shit anyway, but like I say, always WrestleMania season. We're in that go home moment of WrestleMania season. It's we got a week to go, so
8
I'm
days.
excited for that. So we'll be back on here Monday, I suppose, and definitely
We're gonna do something, maybe not exactly at 11, but a little after 11, because I'm on the air with Rad Dad, the GTS Intercontinental Champion at 30. So we'll do the show.
On a serious note, I am here. I'm here in Baltimore. I'm from Baltimore, born and raised. I'll just give a shout out to anybody affected by the bridge collapse.
Absolutely horrific news. People have asked about that,
life, all that. Anybody affected by that? I hope everybody's okay and doing well, best that it can be done, and hopefully they all the parties involved that are there for others, helping the families of the victims and everything that works out all right, and they get the help they need. But
and I know it's important because you're also a essential worker. You're, one of those guys that would be considered a first responder. So we want to say, you be safe.
Yeah, I am. I'm a VRT first responder with the MDTA here in Maryland, and I can tell you right now that there's a lot of stuff there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of chaos, but there's also a lot of positive production being made to not only fix the situation, but to recover any remaining victims in the water and clean up and get everything back to somewhat remnants of normal.
It's just, it's a horrendous time in the world. Here in New York, a young man who was a New York City police officer was killed, and you have what's going on here in Key Bridge. That's why we need to be here on Sportswire, to give people a welcome distraction. 156 people certainly seem like they want that. So we want everybody to be safe, and especially you, Coach. And I want to say hello to my buddy, Mr. Anthony Steele, a colleague of many of you guys in the Hall of Fame, and he just wants to say hi. So, Anthony.
Anyway.
Well, Monday, we're going to do a post-rush show. I'm sure Anthony will be here and say hi, and we'll be here during the weekend at some point. So
you got to figure out what you're going to do for SmackDown next week, because if I'm not mistaken, we got SmackDown, and then you have the Hall of Fame Friday night right after. So we might be on, a little later Friday?
I think we'll be on at 10 because we got the TSF Takes guys at 11. We're gonna do it. We'll do it if we can.
We'll switch.
We'll see what happens. That's a good question, but we're gonna have trivia for sure. But I want to say hello to Mr. Levi McDaniel. Ahoy, mates! Happy Easter to you as well, Levi. And all right, great stuff from Randy and the coach. And guys, be safe out there, especially you, Coach. Thank you for all that you do, being a first responder, and please be safe out there. And Randy, thank you for all that you do for us. 2 Hall of Fame guys here, inside and outside the ring. And we'll see you guys Monday night, and maybe even sooner, because Anthony Steele, you never know. But thank you, Coach. Thank you, Randy. And we'll speak with you guys later on, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
See ya.
All right. And we're joined here now by the rest of the gang, and we've got the TSF Takes boys. We got Big T, Scooby Stoney, Sad Boy, and, of course, from the Sportswire radio team, we've got Rob Maraska and a clean-shaven Chris Mazzea. Chris, I'm always used to you with kind of that I don't know if it's a 5 o'clock shadow, but it's sort of a shadow. But you
Right.
shaved, and how you doing? How's everybody doing tonight on a Friday? A lot of people here, 158 people watching this. So hopefully you give your takes, and hopefully there'll be some hot ones.
Doing good,
Doing
man.
great, Tom.
Awesome. So obviously, I know we're going to jump into baseball. I know Rob Marosco is going to give us the baseball take. We're going to get to some of the baseball news, but I guess I open it up to by the way, and according to for you, sad boy, Shane Davidson wants that light off for you. Shane Davidson wants you to turn that light off first. That might be the first comment of the night. So he thinks that your light is too bright. By the way, sad boy.
Yeah, I'm trying to fix it, man. I don't know what's
No, he's glowing. It
going
looks
on,
good. You know,
man.
it's
Maybe
a
that's
skin.
what's drawing us new listeners is
There we
Sam
go.
Boy's light problem. Maybe that's really, you know what? It's not about the world of sports issues. It's not about what's going on in baseball or March Madness. It's just a matter of, those lights. But you know what? I figured I'd start off easy here. We're going to definitely work into baseball. We're going to work into March Madness. There was some news here in the NFL front. First of all, we're getting a Christmas game on Wednesday. Want to get your guys' take on it. And also, we're getting some new kickoff rules. What do you guys think of all this? And, I see you always laughing, sad boy. You writing a song on this or what? Because I see you ready to jump in, sad boy. Dave lanes for us.
This new tackling rule has to be the most egregious freaking thing I've ever seen.
They say they want to open things up more.
Open things up. What, for a 3,000-yard rusher? I mean, how the hell are you supposed to tackle Derrick Henry in the open field now?
Rushing yards have declined exponentially the last few years. Maybe that's what they see.
No, I mean, I get trying to keep the players safe and everything. I'm all for player safety. But at that point, you're taking that risk playing football for a tackle like that. Things like that happen. It's a contact sport. Your feet can get tripped up. Injuries are going to happen regardless. There's a lot of injuries last year. I get that. But to full-on ban the below-the-hip tackle, especially coming from behind, how are you supposed to tackle these guys in the open field like a Tyreek Hill, a Derrick Henry?
They want more offense. You know that. You know the answer is simple. It was this was all started from the Detroit line. Obviously see something that we don't know. What are the rest of you guys thinking about? Because clearly they want to see the kickoff returns be opened up a little more. We know that last year kickoff returns were basically almost nobody returned them. They went right into the end zone, and that was that. So what do the rest of you guys think on it?
Well, I'm going to say that. I'll say quickly. I'm with Sad Boy about the hip drop tackle. I hate that too. I don't know how they're supposed to tackle these guys from behind, so it doesn't make any sense. But the kickoff rule, I love. I think it's a great idea. I think we're going to see more returns. I think they said there was only 22% kickoff return this past year. So I think the numbers are going to be like the complete opposite with these new rules. You're probably going to see close to 80% returning, maybe more.
And that opens up offense more, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think it adds a little more. It adds the kickoff again, right? Because we haven't really gotten kickoffs that much anymore. So I think that adds a little bit more excitement to the game. The only thing that you're going to not see as much is the onside kicks or the surprise onside kicks. But you really don't see that many.
Onside kicks, since they changed that rule, have declined, also exponentially.
Yeah, you're not going to see many of those anyway. So, but the kickoff should be a lot better, a lot more exciting now. So I like that rule. I'm good with that.
What do the rest of you guys think?
I agree. Same thing that he just said, man. The hip drop, I'm not a huge fan of that rule. But as far as the kickoff return rules, I love the changes because I think Big T can back me up. We want to see some more Devin Hesters come along. So it'd be a nice way to see some people make it exciting in the special team side of things.
I agree with you guys on that too, because at least that'll be more exciting. It's I don't know what's going on with football. The tackle, the hip thing. What are they turning into? Flag football?
Funny you said that because I heard that it wasn't recently, but it was maybe a year or two ago. I forget what telecast it was, and they were kind of saying, "Oh, well, they want to make the rules eventually to where it almost becomes like a flag football game, 2-hand touch, and nobody really they don't want anybody. They want to basically tip the scales to where it's all offense. And that's pretty much. Listen, offense was down this year. I mean, at the end of the day, what sells, right, is offense. Just like in baseball, what sells, right? Opening up is more offense, and and that's really how sports is.
Man, for mine, I think the hip drop. Obviously, I don't think it's going to be good for football. I think after they see the repercussions of that rule change this year, I think they'll be very quick to revert
You don't
that
like
rule.
more rushing yards, though? You don't want to see more of that? You don't want to see more, rushing decline recently, though?
I would like to, but I feel like I also still like to have a little balance, and it feels like the league just wants these offenses to thrive the best as possible because everybody knows, man. I mean, offense brings in views. Nobody wants to see a defensive game when it's 0-0, but people like to see those 30-30 shootouts. That's just
we have a lot of people viewing us right now because people want to see us go on offense. It's kind of the same thing on Sportzwire. Yeah. We brought you guys in, and the views went up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man. Other than that, man, I don't think it's really going to help nothing. I mean, yeah, they can ban it. They can try to protect the offensive players. Don't get me wrong, but in my mind, where you're supposed to hit these guys, you got to hit them between obviously their hip line and they're up in their shoulder pads. But I think that's just guys are gonna start tackling high. You're probably gonna start to see a lither bit more helmet to helmet contact than you would like to see, or at least in the past few years.
Concussions.
I think this will be reverted, or they'll have to change it some way, but they're going to end up bringing.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. These are 1-year temporary rules. They're basically, I think, if I'm not mistaken, aren't these 1-year rules to see? And we'll see if we permanently institute them. Although, knowing the NFL, most of these rules they'll keep, and then maybe they'll amend them down the line for whatever reasons.
I'm not 100% sure if it's I guess you could say like a trial run. I'm not 100% sure on that. If I had to take a guess, though, usually when the NFL
I know the kickoff was a 1-year trial. That I read was a 1-year trial, and I would imagine the hip rules the same thing. So, okay, we'll have to see. I mean, you have a thought or two, DK, on some of that, and good to be with you, my friend.
Good to be here as well. But basically, what everybody's saying, I'm pretty much on the same page with. I do like the fact that they were trying to reduce the injuries on offense, but at the same time, that is a big rule that's going to take a big hit on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, like they're saying, you got guys out here who are built like Derrick Henry who you can't tackle a certain way anymore, and you got to figure out a whole new way, not even to play against them, but just to tackle these guys. And that can just change a defense right there, just having to change the way you tackle somebody. But I think there's another problem they haven't even addressed, and it's the fields. I mean, the turf is what's really getting these guys.
Well, that's always been an issue, certainly in baseball. Now, baseball, I mean, Chris and Rob, more than the rest of us, used to have those purpose stadiums, whether it was Three Rivers Stadium, you had Jack Murphy Stadium, the Vet in Philadelphia here locally, a little more local to us, the Metrodome, those stadiums were turf. So you'd have the all-purpose football and baseball stadium, and guys who used their knees and ran or were runners. Those stadiums weren't as what certainly shorten their careers. Obviously Detroit would be another example of that. So okay, so fair enough. I'll give you some of that. And I got two funny jokes. First of all, do you have the Easter Bunny in the background of you, Rob Maraska? Is the Easter Bunny there? I mean, are you like
Sunday?
Every holiday, she puts different decorations for every
Okay, so
holiday.
I guess we have a countdown clock. And Scooby, are you wearing a Brooklyn Nets jersey? Because I would say I send my condolences to you.
Hey, it's been a rough season, but it was a great night. So
it was a great night, but it has definitely been a very painful season. I want to say hello to Mr. Beast. I wonder if it's the one and only Beast, the Beast that used to be the commissioner of TBW. If not, I want to say hello to whoever this Beast might be and say hello and hope you're doing well, and make sure you hit that sub button for us. Okay, so I want to ask one more question on football, then I want to go to baseball because baseball has started. I want to talk about a couple things on baseball. And I have to ask you guys this question. Are you guys watching this new hybrid XFL, USFL tomorrow or what? Because I saw, if you're a wrestling fan like me, I know Sandboy's a wrestling fan, and there was they showed you that the USFL champions were taking on the XFL champions. You had a doubleheader tomorrow. So I know we're kind of, for our football fans here, deprived of football at the moment until, well, the draft. The draft isn't that far away, but is anybody watching tomorrow's new XFL?
Definitely. I'll be at work.
Are you watching it? So tell me why you're watching it then.
I mean, obviously, man, you just want football to be background. Honestly, that's the best way it is. I mean, yes, the offseason's fun and nice, but I mean, if you can shorten the span from the time you have to see football and live without the NFL, I mean, whatever gets you by, gets you by. But you got baseball to watch.
March Madness. If you have a bracket left, I mean, some people after North Carolina yesterday probably don't have much of a bracket. Arizona lost. I mean, there are a lot of brackets busted. If you had a bracket, what's left of it? So,
Mhm.
Anybody watching though this weekend? Anybody watching these games or what?
I don't think I'll be tuning in live, but I'll definitely watch a little reruns back or something.
So you
like
don't
that,
think next Friday on Sportswire we should do a recap of the new XFL?
Nah, I don't think that's a good idea.
So we won't
probably
be. We
not.
won't. Well, I have a couple of questions here. Yes, and Beast does say it is the former commissioner. And by the way, you look great out there. I mean, boy, you and the Prophet Jay Wild and Chaotic. I mean, I certainly am glad I'm not on TBW TV. I definitely don't want to cross the paths of Beast. I mean, Beast looks like he's new and improved after what he did to Matthew Joseph last week at 157. But he has a question for you guys, and we kind of talked about it. But basically, again, he asked, how do you guys feel about the new kickoff rule this time, which we kind of talked about. But if anybody has any further points on it for Mr. Beast, because Beast, well, he's a really big man. He's a really big man.
I think one thing, another point we could make too about it is that now I think teams are going to be going into the draft and the rest of this offseason, I think roster building a little differently, because now they're going to get a player, they're going to draft a player or find a player that's just going to be returning kicks, right? Because it's a totally different, before it's just grabbing a ball and taking a knee, right, in the end zone. But now you're actually going to have to return it. So now you're going back to getting, because I think was it Pittsburgh that signed Cordella Patterson?
Yeah,
I mean, he's one of the better returners out there. So
yeah. I mean, yeah, so give a bunch of guys jobs, honestly. The NFL is a cutthroat, tight organization that has small details to it, and to now be able to grab a kick returner and give someone who might not be a starting receiver, a starting corner, whatever it may be. I mean, there's probably in the next couple of years going to be players drafted specifically for kick return.
Let me ask you guys a more general question. Obviously, with the draft coming up, a good point was made, and we're going to get to baseball in a few minutes, I promise. But if you're, let's say, you have a second round or a third round pick, and those are always the picks where you kind of, you're really looking at the combines, you're looking at the scouting reports, you're really looking for a player that's going to really help your team in a way, kind of help you now. So is that where in those second and third rounds, maybe more so the third round, is that where now all of a sudden you change your strategy, and that's where, I'm going to look for a guy that can give me something as a kickoff returner? Is that a fair point when we look for this draft coming up here next month?
Yeah, maybe later on.
Yeah,
maybe not third round.
Like fourth and fifth round.
Yeah, a little later than the third. But yeah, I would say so. If there's a, like a fast receiver that's out there, or a running back that may not have the best hands or didn't run the best routes or something like that, or, or a guy that actually, showed out as a returner in college, they might say, hey, you know what, we'll draft this kid instead of maybe waiting for him to be an undrafted guy and try to sign him. Maybe we'll draft him now and make sure we get him.
And I have another great point from Mr. Beast, and I got to get Beast on Sportswire. We got to get you on Sportswire, obviously, with No Return 5 coming out next week. And if you're out there, give a shout out to Tennessee Backyard Wrestling. They do a great job out there. They love us, and we love them. And want to put the guys in the Hall of Fame as a group. So make sure you support them at Tennessee Backyard Wrestling on all social media. Their most recent shows already got thousands of views. But got a great point here, which I kind of maybe in a way said, I believe a lot of rosters from the XFL will have a better chance at bringing in or to sign a free agent teams with now the merger. So is that a point that, if you're going to have a season now with this new XFL, maybe if you're a player, you show something here these next couple of months, maybe you get a tryout in a camp, you prove yourself, maybe you can get onto a roster. I mean, is that a fair point to be made, that maybe these games, after all, they mean something now?
No, I definitely agree, because a lot of those players that you see are the stars of the XFL are players that were at one point a practice squad or third string type player for.
Well, famously, years
NFL
ago,
team.
in the first XFL incarnation, there was a guy, Tommy Maddox, who locally played for the Giants, and he wound up, his career was over, and he wound up being the MVP of the first XFL back in 2001. And he came back into the league, and he actually started for the Steelers, had a couple of more years in the league. And, that's maybe the biggest example of a guy from the XFL that had some success. So, you can look at it. Maybe you get on a roster. Maybe you're a guy that, stays on. Maybe you don't play, but you're in practice. You're a practice squad player. And, you never know. So these things, happen. And obviously, famously years ago, there's always the Kurt Warner story of being in, the Arena Football League, the World League. And you go out and you're a borderline Hall of Famer. So maybe that these games to somebody, they mean something.
I'm interested to see how Matt Corral does play going back to the XFL, because I was a kind of big fan of him coming out of college, and we really never got to see him do anything in the NFL. I mean, he had his injury. I think it was a Lisfranc or something with his foot, and I think they brought in Baker the next year, and they drafted Bryce Young now. So, I mean, Matt Corral, we really never even got to see what he would do on an NFL field at all. So I'm anxious to see if there could be a comeback story from the XFL, him playing well, because I'm sure he's going to be the star of his team.
All right, I'm going to make some either Jet fans kill me or Jet fans laugh at me, or maybe even laugh with me. But, how soon is Zach Wilson going to be in the XFL?
Man, I don't know. Well, did y'all hear our owner saying
yes,
he'd like to keep him on? I mean, I don't.
That's not happening.
You don't think so? You think they're just being nice?
Hey, he's good for morale, man. The guy like that in the locker room.
He's out. He's definitely gone.
It wouldn't hurt me none.
No, definitely not me. I do kind of feel bad for the guy, because I feel like the Jets. I don't know if it would have changed how we would have played, but we definitely dropped the ball on developing him. I think he shouldn't have started from day one. He should have been a guy that,
he was put in the fire in a very difficult situation because we didn't have a backup. We went out and we didn't sign a true backup.
Well, no, I'm talking about week one for him, like when he was first drafted.
When he got drafted, yeah.
Yeah, he shouldn't have started from the beginning. Like he was.
Oh yeah,
you can argue he wasn't supposed to even get drafted where he got drafted. I mean,
right?
There was a lot of talent there, but I mean,
it was a weak quarterback draft, and we were desperate.
Yeah.
And
the Jets historically, for the most part, have had this quarterback curse. I mean, that they just, for whatever reason, long term. Our friend Angela Pink, who always says, well, Pennington was good. Yeah, but he only had a couple of years. We've never had a quarterback that we could really pencil in for the next 15 years. I mean, again, Ken O'Brien, I'm sure guys remember him, had a couple of years. Testaverde had, maybe 2 years. Pennington couldn't stay healthy. We had the Fitzmagic, Sanchez. These guys really weren't, long-term answers since Joe Namath. So that's why this franchise was maybe trying to make the move. And that's why we have Aaron Rodgers. But quick on the Jets. Jets make a move before we went on the air. And, it seems like it's an impactful move that could really help this team.
Oh, no doubt.
100%. I'm going on the record right now and saying,
God,
you can call me crazy.
You are giving us this hot take. Tell us why.
We're giving the take. As long as Aaron Rodgers stays healthy, we're going to win this division. We're going to win this division.
Yep. I agree.
Oh, my God. Scooby Stoney, I know you're trying to get us more views, and we got 30,000 on TikTok
Hey,
already. I know you
I
guys
believe it.
accepted my clip on Instagram.
I believe
I'm not for sure, Stoney. I feel like you might curse this team.
Hey, don't say that. I think if
I
anything,
hope not, but seriously.
If anything,
year,
that curse was last year, man. I can't go through it 2 times.
I have been on the air for 5 years, right? And every year, right, the Jets come up. They're going to be good. They're going to make the playoffs every year. And we're still at the same point.
But we're good right now. Think about it on paper.
We're good on paper, but the season hasn't started until September.
Think about it right now
I
on
think
paper.
that defense just gets scarier and scarier. The more we keep talking, more pickups they make. Their defense hasn't changed, and now their offense.
But it's all about the quarterback. If Aaron Rodgers doesn't play,
he's healthy. If he's healthy,
on paper,
we're win.
who's got a better roster on paper right now, top to bottom?
In the division or in the AFC?
Well, let's start with the division.
In the division.
I would say none.
I'm more scared of the Dolphins than I am the Bills because of this dump off that they're doing with all of their team. Like I'm not we've already matched up well with the Bills in the past. I'm more worried about the
Buffalo, I
Dolphins and
feel
their
like
offense.
I think that we would be better than Buffalo. Miami's such a Jekyll and Hyde to me. The top.
I think offensively, well, I don't want to say they got totally, but I mean, obviously Tyreek Hill is the best receiver.
They have that one game-changing player, though. They have that
Right.
one player, and Tua seems to do well in that offense.
Right.
I just think they have. I think most of these teams, with the point he's trying to make, have a little bit more holes than the Jets do right now. We're walking into this draft, and now we're looking at this in a completely different stance from than we were last week when we were on this podcast. Now we have an edge rusher that looks great, and
last week
we're worried about interior.
We got Mike Williams last week.
Mike Williams as well.
Now we got Hassan Reddick. Okay, I get that. I get that the Jets have had a good offseason, but I'm still always going to say I'm doing this 5 years on the. I want to say hello to Joe, though. Joe, we're going to get to baseball in a second. But, every year, this team's good. I go back to when the Jets signed Le'Veon Bell 5 years ago on the air, and it was supposed to be good then. Exactly. But that's the point is that this team, it's always
listen, Tom, you're 1,000% right, and I said it. Until the Jets start winning games and win the division and get to the playoffs and win a playoff game, you know what? You're absolutely right because the Jets have to prove everybody wrong, and until they prove people wrong, it's going to be same old Jets, like you said.
Well, we're going to certainly find out, and I want to say if you're on out there, Twitter, YouTube, or Twitch, make sure you follow us on YouTube at Sportswire Radio 6579, Twitch at Sportswire Radio. If you're on Twitter watching us, well, all you have to do is follow me at Thomas Price 2007 because 162 of you are watching us. Make sure you do that. We're also on Facebook at Sportswire Radio, Instagram at the Sports Report 2021. Also, follow the TSF Takes Boys on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, wherever they are. Catch them, support them. They're a part of our team. And Odell says, blessed Good Friday. Yes, well, it was a Good Friday, but apparently for baseball fans like Rob Maraska, it was not a Good Friday because the New York Mets, who had been actually 41-13 in their last 54 opening days, actually found a way to lose. So they had a 1-0 lead early, but they didn't generate much of an offense. Maybe it was the wind because the wind felt like the Windy City for you, Big T, because the wind here in New York, actually the last 2 weeks in New York, the weather has been absolutely outright terrible. The weekend's supposed to be a little nicer, but then we're getting more rain. So maybe we should change our name to Seattle or maybe London. But in the meantime, Rob Maraska going over to baseball for a little bit before we come back to football and some other things. The New York Mets, who have been one of the greatest opening day teams in MLB history, did not continue that, and they lost. And tell us why Met fans are now having a panic attack over this loss.
Well, unusual opening day loss. You were right. Usually they win opening day, and then we know what happens the rest of the season. So maybe it'll have the opposite.
Although somebody pointed out when the Mets only 2 World Series championships they won, they had lost both opening days. So I don't know if that's a omen of things to come, but who knows?
Yeah, well, the problem is, like you said, no offense. 1 hit, home run, Starling Marte. So we know that at least he's healthy so far. That's one thing we got out of this game. Other than that, the pitching wasn't bad. Starting pitching wasn't bad.
Yeah, it was the pitcher's goal. I mean, look, he
gave up 2 earned runs. It's just that once again, the Mets offense was sleeping, and it was everybody except for Marte. Alonso did nothing, Nimmo did nothing, McNeil did nothing, Lindor did nothing. And listen, Chris, thanks for Bader, man. He really, I knew watching on the Yankees.
He's a great glove. No, he's a great glove.
He's a great glove, but he really cannot hit.
He's not a hitter. No.
I mean, that's why he's batting last in the lineup. But the pitching looked decent today. It's 1 game, but these guys gotta hit, Tom. I mean, it's going to be a long season. I know they're waiting for Martinez to
I think Martinez, I want to get to the Yankee side and the general baseball stories. Obviously, Montgomery signs with the D-backs, but I'll say it, and I say it every year. If you're in the North, I know you guys are out in kind of the South. I don't know what the weather is like at the moment, but I can't watch baseball in 50 degrees and 25-mile-an-hour winds. And, even now they're talking about the weather in New York, and that's supposed to really warm up until the end of next week. So that means realistically, okay, the weekend's going to be okay, not great, but this isn't baseball weather. I mean, these guys, they say in baseball, you don't really warm up until like around May. And, here, I know we got to play because it's 152 games. You got to start the season, but, this is not baseball weather at the moment.
Hey, Rob,
No,
what do you think of the slide?
Oh, yeah. Well, we were talking about that, this afternoon where, they said it was legal. There's something going on with Hoskins and McNeil.
He's got some history there. Yep, good point.
He came in hard. McNeil really got pissed off. But the bench is cleared, but it was nothing. But Hoskins is just he's a wise guy, and I wouldn't doubt him coming in hard. And it's just gonna, he's on Milwaukee, so they're not gonna see him as much as when he was in Philadelphia. So
well, you're not gonna see everybody as much anyway because we don't play 18 times anyway. Even if we were in division, you don't play 18
There's a history
times.
between those two guys, or they've had something before?
It's just that what happened was a couple of years ago, Hoskins got hit twice by the Mets, and then he hit a home run. And when he trotted around the bases, it took forever for him to go around the bases. He was going really slow on purpose, and that got the Mets a little pissed off. And since then, there's been a problem. But last year, of course, he was out all year, so nothing happened.
And Hoskins is obviously a guy that I think we spoke about on prior shows that the Brewers are going to count on to stay competitive here in the National League Central. A lot of people think that for whatever reason the Brewers might be fourth in division. People seem to be very optimistic on St. Louis. I'm not quite sure why.
I don't like the Cardinals at all this year.
If you read,
I think they're going to be below 500, and I told
the over/under in Vegas has them at like 85, which I don't understand at all, considering that there's
pound the under in that one.
Sonny Gray is out. I mean, start the season. I mean, I just don't understand. I know the lineup okay, but they struggled last year mightily. But speaking of teams that haven't struggled so far, Chris, the New York Yankees are 2-0, and Aaron Judge looks good. Soto saves the game yesterday. And, on the Yankees side, before I get to a few general other things in baseball and work back into some other sports, I mean, Yankees, you can't ask for a better start so far.
Yeah, no, especially at Houston. It's a 4-game series. It didn't start off great, going down 4-0 after 2 innings. And, everybody on social media was already canceling the season and all that. So, but they came back and won that game, and tonight 7-1, I think it was. A lot of errors on the Houston side tonight, so I think they kind of gave us a W tonight. But listen, even a split, even if they lose the next 2, I'll be happy.
Yeah,
to get out of there with a split. But hey, now that you got 2 games in your pocket already, hopefully they can take at least one of the next 2 and win the series. And start off taking 3 out of 4 on the road against Houston is big for the Yankees, because that's the team that's
the team that they've struggled against with the past decade,
especially in the playoffs. So it'd be nice to get some kind of confidence against that team going, And
you're happy to see Judge and Soto be a part of things.
Yeah. Judge is starting off a little slow. Soto, on the other hand, looks great. Soto looks like he's in mid-season form, but so far Judge is starting off a little slow. But I'm sure he'll get going.
You want to say something, Rob, before I get to? I'll pull up some scores here and a couple of other baseball notes before we work back into other sports.
No, like Chris was saying, in Houston, it was a horror show for the Yankees. So for them to take the first 2 of the opening series, that's it's building their confidence. And
that was a name that, we had a guy that used to be on the show would always talk about confidence. He talked about confidence, and he's not here because I don't know why he doesn't have the confidence to say, hey, I want to come back on the show. But that's certainly a topic we've heard and term we've heard throughout the years on this platform by a guy who used to be on the platform.
Yes, it is. But and Chris, Soto does look like he's in mid-season form already. I mean, that was a great throw yesterday. He's hitting. I think he's gonna have a great year. just see it. I think the Yankees will. What a great pickup.
And I want to run through some scores here before I get to some news and notes. Pirates 7, Marlins 2. Our buddy Ron Franklin, who was here and left, he made a cameo, was upset about his Phillies. They lost 9-3. Mets 1, Brewers 3. Rays 8, Blue Jays 2. A lot of people are down on the Rays this year. We'll have to see. Guardians 6, A's 3. A's arguably the worst team in baseball this year, them and the Rockies. Mariners 1, Red Sox 0. Patrick Trotty's Red Sox kind of had a weird offseason. Kind of like the Mets, but the Mets made the late move for Martinez. Giants 6, Padres 2. A lot of people high on the Padres more so than the Giants this year. I'm not quite sure. I know you got ceased, but you lost a lot of guys. You had a lot of talent, and you still wound up only going 81 and 81. You got red hot to get there. Diamondbacks 7, of course, the defending NL champions got even stronger. I'll get to that in a second. 7-1 over the Rockies, who are basically the A's of the NL. And Dodgers 5, Cardinals 0. And yesterday, as I mentioned, the Diamondbacks had 14 runs in one inning, and they certainly put their pull all over the Colorado Rockies. And also Yankees won yesterday 5-4, Twins 4, Royals 1. Royals are a team made a lot of moves. Pirates 6, Marlins 5 in an interesting series. Orioles 11, Angels 3. Our buddy TBK in the Hall of Fame, very happy about his Orioles strong start yesterday. Reds 8, Nationals 2. Reds again a team a lot of people are high on, but had some injuries late. Tigers another team to watch. 1-0 over the White Sox. Rangers 4, Cubs 3. And again, Diamondbacks get 14 runs in one inning. And I'll take this off the screen for a minute. And Chris, Diamondbacks get a late move and get Jordan Montgomery. And, what did you make of that? I think the Diamondbacks had a really strong offseason, maybe solidifies them as kind of the number 2 team in the NL West and give them a really good shot at maybe, going back deep into the playoffs again.
Yeah, that was a good ad for them. I know the starter that they did pick up, Eduardo Rodriguez, he's out for a little bit. So this kind of makes sense, Hey, and we always say, right, you never have enough pitching. So to add another quality starter, not that he's an ace, but middle of the rotation guy, you could see, he could pitch on the, on the big stage. You've seen him do it in the World Series, obviously here in New York. So I thought it was a great move on their part, and to get him for a 1-year deal, so you're not stuck with him long term. So it's a great deal.
And I think also for a team like the Diamondbacks that won 84 games last year, and you're showing something to your fan base that you are serious about winning, and you add some players, and that's a great thing. But also, I think conversely for both you and Rob, and I'll come back to the other guys in a second. I mean, Scott Boras had to be the biggest loser of this offseason because all these guys, I mean, they settled for a 10th in many cases of what they were looking for. And, whether it was Montgomery, Chapman, Bellinger, certainly Snell. I mean, Scott Boras, does his poll certainly drop, exponentially because of the offseason he had for you guys?
Well, it puts a smile on my face that he had a bad offseason.
Well, he's certainly been a thorn in the Mets side over the years, for sure.
Oh, yeah. The Mets, yes, everyone's side. So yeah, I don't know how it's going to affect his future. I just think it's baseball in general now. So what we really have to see is next offseason, because, it's going to be a big offseason. That's what we have to see. So, talk to me about Boras next year.
Yeah, I think even Boras can't mess up the Soto free agency next offseason, right?
Well,
Soto's going to get record numbers next year. So
I would think so, but you know what? He messed up Snell, he messed up Bellinger, he messed up Chapman, he messed up Montgomery, and these guys.
Different player, right?
Joe,
Soto's 25,
sure.
26. These guys are 30.
This is a generational player.
Yeah. We could get a good contract for him, I think, at this point.
And I thought a funny note here before we change topics. Jackson Churio, first born player in 2004 to play in the major leagues. So that means all of us were certainly born before this guy even was alive. I mean, that's a crazy thought in itself. So that tells you that, everybody's getting old at some point. So that's certainly, then again, the 14 runs in one inning. I mean, that's just, almost like in Little League, that the no mercy rule. Maybe that's no mercy rule should be instituted in baseball games. But, we'll certainly see. But, for you guys, in a general point, I mean, Ohtani, there was some more developments. I mean, what do you guys all make of some of the stuff with Ohtani going on before we change some other things? What do you guys all make of that?
I think we haven't heard the truth yet. Let's say it that way, right?
Yeah, I agree.
It's so shady. I mean, how do you not know all that money's getting taken out of your account, right? I mean, it
Well,
just
maybe because he was trying to put that money into Sad Boy's new single.
There you go.
But no, really, I know if like $100 is missing out of my account.
Oh, you want to know? I know if $20 is missing.
There you go. So imagine, $4.5 million.
I mean, and I could tell you, verbatim that I have a large number of figures in a bank account. And I'm looking at it, and we spoke about this last week on the show, and this is just, a major thing. And yeah, it's really questionable to say the least. And some other news and notes: Will Smith, 10 years, $140 million from the Dodgers. The rich only get richer, that's for sure. And real quick, going back to football, I didn't get a chance to ask you guys this with some of the other guys. Do you like the NFL playing on Christmas Day? The NBA has always been about Christmas Day. It's the NBA thing, but now we're getting Christmas NFL, and it's on a Wednesday. For the rest of you guys, do you like that? Do you like that we're getting a Wednesday football game? I know some people are concerned about that for different reasons, but what do you guys all think about that?
I love it. I have no problem with it, right?
No?
I mean, we're all just sitting around with family watching, instead of watching, a crappy basketball game, now we could watch a football
I got to
game.
be honest. I don't.
no problem
I mean, I follow the NBA, but I'm not watching the NBA on Christmas. I got to be honest.
me
I'm not getting into it until about now, really. I mean, I'm not going to sit there,
Even now, I'm not really into the NBA, but I love the NFL on Christmas. If it's one or two games,
Do you like it though on a Wednesday? Because Wednesday's kind of like middle of the week. If you're playing Sunday, I know Goodell was talking about this a few days ago, but there's no concern there if somebody plays on a Wednesday.
Well, I think they're moving the week before that. The teams that are playing on Christmas, they're playing on the Saturday before, so they have an extra day off or something like that,
Okay.
right?
I think it
No
depends
difference
on
from
how they're
Thursday.
scheduled, because with the NBA ones, they always make sure to schedule great games on Christmas Day games.
Well, the NBA, it's now the Christmas, for those that are fond, that has been the NBA's day. I want to say since I'm a little kid. I remember when
Been for a
NBC
long
had
time.
the NBA package. Yeah, they would have a double header, and that's been for like at least 25 years, maybe even longer. That's been the NBA's day. The NHL doesn't even play on Christmas. Which I
What
always
was
thought
the Christmas games this year for the NFL? Was it the Chiefs game, the Raiders?
Chiefs, Raiders, Giants, Eagles.
They had a Black
And
Friday.
40
game,
and
too.
40 and 49ers Ravens, right? Was the Monday night game, which was
Yes,
atrocious.
that's right. The late game, right?
Which wasn't bad. I mean, 49ers Ravens was supposed to be a great matchup. The game sucked. Chiefs Raiders was an okay game. I
It
mean,
was a
Giants
surprise more than anything else. right?
Giants
Didn't the
Eagles was
Raiders-
probably the best of the three games, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I think I saw Aquaman 2 that day. I think I went just stayed and watched Giants Eagles instead, because Aquaman 2 was terrible for the movie guys here. So
Yeah, I seen it. I was getting ready to watch it on cable. Then I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna waste.
Don't even bother, man.
Well,
Yeah,
well, don't spoil it, because Godzilla vs. Kong is out this week, which I intend to see. And then you got the new Ghostbusters out. I've heard good reviews on that. So I don't know if anybody's seen that yet, but I'll certainly maybe have a report.
Not
back.
yet, but I'd like to. That one I
But,
want.
yeah, but overall, you guys are okay with NFL games on Christmas, even if you're NBA guys. The NBA has 12 o'clock. I think 3:30, 6 o'clock, 8:30, and 10 o'clock, or some combinations of everything. It's 12 o'clock. I think it's 3 o'clock. I think it's 5:30, 8 o'clock, and 10:30. So that's their window. So you guys are okay with all that. You don't mind that the NFL's on Wednesday.
Sports all day, man. I'll take it. I'll take it.
Like I said, I think it just depends. Are we watching the Panthers play against the 49ers, or are
You
we
know
watching
that
the
you ain't-
49ers versus
you
the
ain't
Chiefs?
getting
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not tuning in for the Panthers on
Let's be
Christmas.
straight up. You ain't getting Panthers 49ers on Christmas. I mean,
That's what it comes down to. If it's a game I want to see, I'm gonna watch it, regardless of what day it is.
Listen,
But-
you're not going to get that here. We have 166 people watching out there. I mean, I'm sure you could tell us differently, but I have no doubt that you're not getting that type of matchup. And even if you did, I still think it would be a good game. I have a question, and I want to talk about hockey for a few minutes. Maybe this is a good way to work in guys like DK and Tony, even Chris for a second. The NHL, as long as I can remember, has never played on Christmas. They have this blackout period. It's for like 4 days. And you would think, like, Big T makes a great point. Sports all day, right? We should have sports all types. We should have a bowl game. We should have a college basketball tournament. We should have NFL. We should have NHL, NBA. But yet the NHL doesn't play on Christmas. As a matter of fact, they don't play from December 23rd till the 27th. It's a 4-day break. For the hockey guys here, what do you make of that?
I think they know that they can't compete with the NFL or the NBA, right?
I'd say so. It's a numbers game, and they don't really get the viewership as those, and it kind of be like the lower tier of the game on that day.
Yeah,
but you
and also it's like
jump in.
No, it's a physical game, and I mean, I feel like giving them just even if it's a 4-day window, almost in the middle of the season, it's good to keep everybody fresh rather than just have them play a game where they're going to be on the lower tier that day.
Big recovery period.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fair. I mean, I would still think that in markets that don't have NFL teams, that it would still be something to have a game scheduled because there's always somebody out there, and there's a lot of Canadian teams that are in the league, and they don't have NFL. They don't. I don't know how. I mean, the NFL is a global sport at this point.
Weren't they doing the outdoor game on New Year's? Right?
They do. Yes. New Year's. Yes.
Yeah.
You have New Year's. Yes. Yeah, I think. Listen, the outdoor games have added something to the league. We saw the two, the games, back the Rangers and Islanders and the Devils and the Flyers. I mean, I think the outdoor games add something. But I was just, curious from a general perspective. I do want to talk about hockey for a couple minutes. Obviously, the Nashville Predators, DK. I mean, we were talking about them when you guys first came on, but I mean, I don't want to be the team that faces that. I'm with Randy Dillon on this. I mean, I don't know what to say on the Nashville Predators at this point. I mean, you got Yossi, Forsberg. I mean, O'Reilly. You were speaking about them last week, and I was kind of checking up on it during the week, and I don't know what to say anymore on these Nashville Predators.
They caught heat, and they just don't want to. They don't want to get put out. But I mean, as of last night, they kind of got a.
Finally,
pretty bad loss to the
after 18
Coyotes.
games. Yeah, it was 18 games. I mean, listen, quite a run.
I mean, it had to happen eventually, but it just sucks that it had to be the Coyotes to do it, and especially with I believe they had 8 goals. Like that's just not what you want to see, but it had to come to an end eventually, and I guess that's what it had to be.
For sure. I got a couple of other news and notes. Austin Matthews, 59 goals, I believe, going into today. McDavid has 90 assists. I mean, I know it's not quite the McDavid of prior years, but those, individual numbers are kind of impressive. We were speaking about Ovechkin last week on the show, but this week, Matthews got a shot at 65 goals, which I think is an amazing stat. And, McDavid's got 90 assists, and he's got a shot at 100 assists. I mean, those individual numbers for the hockey guys here, I mean, you don't get those too often.
No, not at all, especially the today's version of hockey. It's a lot more difficult to score. So seeing someone who's able to put up almost 60 goals, if not more, in a season is actually quite impressive.
For sure, and especially like you said, even though the NHL has tried so much to open up offense, but the NHL just is the one sport that you really can't get that much. I mean, there's offense. It's not what it was 15 years ago or 10 years ago, even where it was just a total it wasn't quite the trap, but it was still, kind of a tedious game at times. But, offense still hasn't quite picked up to the levels like it has in football, basketball, or, baseball at times. But, I think those numbers, I think the Matthews number is a little more impressive to me because McDavid's been there before. He's been there, he's had those numbers. But
what's bad about those two guys is that, are they ever going to win a cup? Right?
Well, Matthews, I think no, not with Toronto with their trouble
yeah.
defensively. I mean, no way. I mean,
and the Oilers are always, great, and then they get to the playoffs, and then they
get bounced out. Yeah, I mean, they just
same thing with them.
Yeah, I don't know. I think with DK, looking at the West now. I mean, you got in the Central, you got 4 teams that are basically they could say neck and neck, and okay, Edmonton for sure. I mean, and they listen right now the way they're getting Vegas in the first round. I mean, you want to be Edmonton right now, you get Vegas, you get the defending Stanley Cup champions. I mean, good luck to you. I mean, that's who you're drawing in the first round. So McDavid could be out again, and Matthews has only won 1 playoff series in his career. I mean, so these guys, despite putting up all these numbers,
And right now they get Florida, I think, Toronto, right? They're the 5. Is it 4-5?
Yeah, it's 2-3. It's 2-3. Yeah.
So the two teams we're talking about are getting the Stanley Cup teams.
Stanley Cup. The Panthers were the finalists, and Vegas was the champions. Yeah, I mean, so like you could be bounced out again, and and again the Metropolitan, the Rangers are in first place, 3 points ahead of the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes have 1 game in hand, and you got the Flyers and Capitals jockeying for a few points. Islanders, speaking of the Panthers, had a much-needed win, but still remain 4 points behind the Capitals. They're both tied in the games column. Devils are 5 points back, but they do have 2 games further in hand. So, we'll have to see. I mean, the Devils look like on the outside looking in, but, Rangers definitely are in a strong position, and, we'll have to wind up seeing. And, other news and notes in the league. Speaking of the Coyotes, we had a player that actually played in his home state. I mean, that was kind of a cool thing. So maybe, Sad Boy or DK or anybody else, you get a player in your home state to play. You never know now after that. That was kind of a cool thing to note.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah. Man, you love to see that stuff. That's for sure.
And
go ahead, jump in, DK.
I'm talking about Shane, I believe Shane Doan's son. Is that who you're
Yes,
talking about?
correct.
Yeah,
correct.
had a pretty good 2 goals in his first game there. Yeah, and it's also
Yeah,
where he played
unfortunately-
college hockey.
At your
pretty
expense, unfortunately, DK. For whatever reason, Joe Dell has a comment for Rob Maraska. Separate the green and black olives. I'm not sure why you got to separate the green
I
and black
don't know.
olives, but
Go back to
Is
the
Joe, well, wait. I think I got the answers. Joe Dell off this weekend, and that's why he's up with us usually. I know there's 168 people with us, but I know there's a lot of people that want to hear different things. But obviously, those are some things. So, well, okay, I don't know, but I did want to ask
It's
Joe
very
quick.
inside.
Yeah.
And anybody watching college basketball, any thoughts on North Carolina gets upset and Arizona gets upset, and Houston was playing as we speak. I mean, for the college basketball guys, before I get to ask you guys 1 or 2 sports stories you want to share before closing thoughts, anything in the college basketball. Also, I know women's story. I mean, Caitlin Clark in the Big 3. I thought that'd be a funny story. Maybe Sad Boy changes lanes and sees Caitlin Clark playing. You get a song on her behalf. But anything on the college basketball, and for the guys that follow it, that it's kind of interesting for you.
I haven't got to keep up with it much, man. At least me personally, I haven't got to keep up with it much recently. So
what is on your mind, Big T, that you would like to get off your chest sports-wise? Let's hear from you, Big T, tonight. I would love to know what's on your mind. You're here with us. We have all these people watching us right now, and they want to hear from us. The numbers keep going up, and, what's on your mind that you want to get off your chest?
Actually, I got a couple of things. So the first one, I'm actually going to revert back real quick for Rob, Chris, and obviously you, Tom. After watching the Angels game and seeing Trout come up for his first at bat and sending it over center field, man, if I'm not mistaken, I think he had 18 home runs last year. From seeing that, do you guys think he goes over that 18 mark this year?
Listen, he just has to stay healthy, right? I mean, if he stays healthy, he's going to go over 30, easy, 35, maybe 40.
Definitely.
Outside
Chris is right.
Listen, outside of seeing the Yankees win the World Series this year, the other thing I really want to see is Mike Trout play a full season. I mean, I feel like as a baseball fan, I would love to see him, finish up his career healthy. He's got, what is he now, 32 now? So I would love to see him have 4 or 5 really good, healthy years, put up big numbers. He's already going to the Hall of Fame, but it'd be nice to see him go to 500 home runs, get to those milestones.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
Also see him in more than one playoff game,
That too, yeah. He'll have to get out of California for that, I think.
I think Mike Trout has turned into kind of the modern version of Ken Griffey in a sense that, he had a tremendous run, but injuries have derailed his career. Now, Griffey had built up a lot of capital that he still hit, a lot of milestones, but what could have been was that he might be the one with the all-time home run record, whereas Mike Trout, I think that's basically Chris summed it up. It's just a matter of the last 4 or 5 years. He hasn't been able to stay healthy, and this is a generational player, and, baseball's banked on him, and he has not been able to stay healthy. I think that's really, a challenge for him. So it's a matter of, can he play more than 100 games? I mean, that's just to me the, big question for Mike Trout. It's an Angels team where, they're going to struggle mightily. And, if he's healthy, I mean, I'm sure he's going to be able to hit as many home runs for a team that's going to probably lose about 90 games. So I think that's an interesting story. And Mike Trout being healthy is definitely for baseball fans in general. They want to see him healthy because he kind of the modern version of Ken Griffey in a way, and just his likability, his obviously in terms of just how he relates to the fans, his his charisma, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy.
Yeah, I mean, and it kind of stinks for baseball fans now for the last 10 years. I mean, he's playing his game on the West Coast, so most baseball fans are really not watching his games anyway.
It's like
And
a guy that
in the
looked like
playoffs.
Sad Boy that was in a company called TBW, and we just wanted to see him on TV because he was the one that was generating all these thousands of views, and we've struggled to see him on TV from time. The guy that looks like Sad Boy, obviously not you, Sad Boy, but just saying in general. Yeah, you want to see no comment, right, Sad Boy? No comment.
No comment. Can't comment on that. I don't know what you're talking about.
I said guy that looks like Sad Boy, by the way. Guy that looks like. So it's not you technically.
No, I don't know that dude. It's crazy.
Speaking of you, Sad Boy, is there a sports story that's something that you want to bring up to us tonight, or something that's caught your attention that we should discuss that we haven't? We have all these people. We actually have more people watching us now.
It's crazy, Tom. Last night I get a call in the group chat, TSF Takes group chat, and it's a video chat.
What happened?
It's Mr. Big T here. He's like,
what did he do? What did Big T do now?
I haven't ate all day. He has. Go ahead and tell your order real quick. Go ahead and tell
us the order, because forget about the baseball talk, forget about the football talk. I want to know, what did you eat, Big T? Because I think that's going to bring us more views.
So starting off, man. Obviously, I had not eaten all day. I was very hungry after work. I went to Sonic.
Days that I have. Go ahead, I'm listening.
I went to Sonic and I got me a chicken sandwich. I got me a burger as well. I had a foot-long coney, a regular size coney, and a large chili cheese fry. It was a lot of food. It was a lot of food.
I don't even want to ask how many calories that is.
Wow.
I mean, it's ridiculous amount. That's what that is. That's exactly what it is. It was bad, man. But I ate all of it. I promise you.
And you did? And you had it all in one setting?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, and I made a bet with him. If he ate all that food in one sitting, that I'd have to make an apology on the words I said about the Bears last week.
Oh, well, I would love to hear that. So you were able to pull this off in one setting. How now? I want to know before Sad Boy does this. Forget about the rest of the stuff here. How long did it take you to finish all of that? I would love to know that.
I would say it probably took me about 45, like 30 to 45 minutes, I'd say, around there.
Now, when you're taking your time, almost like in a way was, somebody who has a kickoff return, they take their time to wait for it, decide what they're going to do with the ball. I mean, how did you go about this 30 to 45 minutes?
So, they definitely could have been quicker. I was actually playing MLB The Show. I was playing mini seasons where it's only the 3 innings.
Really?
So I would eat something and then play one of my mini seasons games and go back to eating again. So yeah, it was periodic breaks between the 30 and 45 minutes.
Now, how long could you have ate that in one full sitting?
If I really attempted, I probably could have done like 20 minutes. Maybe.
Now, do you do this often? Now, do you say, I'm going to not eat the whole day and just go to Sonic and have a chicken sandwich, a burger, chili fries, and a coney?
No, I mean, not all the time, man. I had not gotten a break at work, so we were just super.
You realize in New York we have like a major homeless problem, and they obviously would love to eat. And maybe you could have gave them some of the food because they probably would have loved to have had it because they're probably dying for a meal, and they hear what you're having, and they probably would have said, "You know what? I would love to have what you're having."
Well, I mean, too, they got to go up to Sonic, man. I mean, they get the same items over there in New York that we get over here.
I think we do have a Sonic. I think we have a Sonic in Staten Island. I think we do have one. On the other end of Staten Island, which is like where the Boondocks is. Yeah, there is a Sonic.
By the outer bridge.
You have, and where is yours in Long Island?
I think it's in.
Massapequa?
Is it in maybe like East Meadow or Uniondale? Kind of close to the Nassau Coliseum.
Oh, okay. I know exactly what it is. So I have to ask, because this is actually fun. I mean, what could really be going on in the sports world right now at this point? But do you do this every day?
No, not particularly. It was literally just definitely not every day. I mean, I do eat quite a bit of food, but not that much. No.
I'm gonna make the rest of the group laugh here. Sad Boy, right now, I think I know you a while, Sad Boy. I think a guy like you I've interviewed, a guy that looks like you I've put in my Hall of Fame, and I've seen you on a guy that looks like you on a big TV screen, right? We talked about for Tennessee Backyard Wrestling. So, Sad Boy, would you want to have an eating contest versus Big T, maybe, if that guy looks like you almost with him?
TSF, we usually have an annual fantasy draft that we do every year, and I think at this year's fantasy draft it's going to be Sad Boyville versus Big T in a 12 taco party pack.
Well, they do the hot dog eating contest here in New York. Maybe because we are getting into live streaming. Do you guys want to do like a competitive eating contest on the air on Sportzwire? I mean.
Oh, that would
it won't be much of a competition, man. I'll be honest. Sad Boy knows. He knows. It's not
what should we know that the audience doesn't? We have 169 people right now. They would probably love to know.
Well, I have a competitive eating. I completed the Highway 55 challenge. I got that under my belt. I'm a pretty big dude. I can put some food down, Tom.
You could. So I would love to. You know what? I'll even give you the money. I'll Venmo or PayPal you the money one day, and we can have you guys do a competitive eating contest, and I'll do the play-by-play, and we'll see who comes out with the most tacos or hot dogs.
Hey, I'll set up Vegas odds.
I think we should do that on Sportswire. I think we should.
Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd definitely be fun. No doubt.
One each, and then whoever finishes.
You want to do it,
right?
Sounds
good.
Yeah.
I'm down. I mean, I'm doing some Taco Bell before anyway. I mean, I'm already
there you go.
What's in the bag, by the way? Before you get to the apology, what's in the bag?
Nothing's in the bag now, Tom. It's all gone.
That ain't fun. Come on.
I had,
did you have the nacho fries, by the way? Did you have the nacho fries?
No, what I do is on the app you can do a build your own box. So I had me a crunch wrap, beefy 5-layer, nachos, large drink, and then on top of that I had a free cantina menu item because I got the rewards. I'm always stacked on rewards. I always got a free item.
So how about next month? How about the month of May? When the weather warms up a little bit. Now I see the numbers are percolating. It's 170 people now. So I see that we're actually gaining people. So how about we do it on the air? You know what? I know that we can't talk every week about the NFL. Maybe there's NFL news. But we should do this competitive eating contest between Big T and Sad Boy. I know Rob Morosco's got to give me the Met report, and God bless the Met and Yankees. But I think an eating contest on the air with the guys, I think people might want to see that.
Oh, yeah. We can promote that and everything.
Oh, yeah. That generates some views right there.
Oh, that's going to generate some views. I mean, I'm not recommending that DK and Scooby Stoney go into a competitive eating contest with you guys. But, I think that.
You don't want none of that.
DK's a small dude, but he can put some food down.
Yeah, he definitely can put some food down.
He's not lying.
But I am gonna say I'm gonna open up these Vegas odds on this.
All right, let's go with the odds.
I'm gonna take Big T at the minus 100 right here. At the minus 100, I think we got a safe bet. This guy, Blazing Challenge, Buffalo Wild Wings, left like 6 minutes on the clock. He had 10 minutes and he left like 6 on the clock. Just process.
How many wings did you eat?
I guess it's more of like how fast. Like Big T's a good fast eater. I'm sure Mikey can put down the food here, but Big T can get himself into that mode. He's not going to lose, man. Like I'm telling you, he's not going to lose.
It's very competitive.
Minus 100. Big T is going to take us to the.
You know what? I like the idea of a competitive eating contest on the sports. I will actually. I tell you what. We will do this. What's today? March 29th, going on March 30th. Why don't we do it? I would say maybe. Let's say the first or second week of May. How does that sound for you?
How about Memorial Day weekend?
I was thinking of the same.
Yeah.
How about that? I'll tell you what.
Let's do it.
I will
sign the contract.
What's it going to cost? 40, 50? How much does the food cost for a competitive eating contest? Can't cost that much. $40, $50, whatever it is.
That's where we go. If it's Memorial Weekend, we got to do burgers and fries and stuff, man. We can't do tacos. We can go to Crystal's and get like one of them big 24 packs.
No.
Mike knows about
All right, so you know what? I do like the idea of Memorial Day weekend. it's supposed to be, it's America's holiday, right? It's
There
the
you go.
start of summer. Everybody's getting ready now. They can put the pools open. They're out of school in most places across the country, and we can actually have live sports coverage on Sportswire Radio, and we'll have a competitive eating contest. I know people want to hear the Met report, the Yankee report, and yeah, I'll give you that. But a competitive eating contest would be revolutionary.
So how are we gonna do it? Like they gotta cook. Why don't you guys make like 12 burgers each?
This wouldn't be consistent. If we both go to Crystal's, get a big 24 pack, I guarantee I'll put that 24 pack.
So how much
down
is the 24
in
pack?
under
I'm curious. What does a 24 pack cost at Crystal's?
Probably like $20, I'd say.
That's it.
Crystal's
All
kinda
right. You know
expensive.
what? You
Why
get the
Crystal's?
24 pack. I tell you what. Is it?
Crystal-
What do you need?
Crystal's in
2
it.
24 packs? Or is it one guy gets 24, the other guy gets 24? Is that how it works?
Oh yeah.
So
Real
I'll give
quick,
you
Tom.
$40. I will give you the $40. You don't have to go out of pocket because I think this will be a big deal. We'll get a lot of views off this, and we can see who eats the most burgers and who lives afterwards.
Crystals is terrible. I don't know why he chose that. I'm going to be honest, but I'll do it.
Crystal
I'll do
in
it.
the
That's why I'm laughing.
Well,
Why you choose Crystal?
It's the most for the
mid
less
place.
amount of money.
What about White Castle?
I don't really have a White Castle, I don't think.
I was gonna say get the suitcase from White Castle. They make those suitcases up.
The last White Castle we
Finish
had
that.
was in like 20 minutes away from
I got to
me.
be
It
honest.
shut
I
down
don't think
years
I've ever
ago.
even had White Castle, other than
Not
I
missing much.
took a dump in it.
I'm
Like,
missing
one.
nothing.
Oh my God!
What's that? No, I don't. No, I don't think I've ever had White Castle. I'm not missing anything.
Wow.
So what? Okay, what's your option then? If you don't want Crystals, what's your option, Big T?
Oh, you would know.
Shoot. Like I said, we can always. I know that's exactly why he didn't want to do the tacos because Mikey knows he will lose.
Because he
will
wants the upper hand. I see. He wants the advantage.
It's an odd booster right
we can
there.
do a bunch of hot dogs if you want. You're losing that too. We can do.
I think
we
that's
can
what's why a
wing.
hot dog eating contest. I mean, they have the Nathan's hot dog
I
contest.
know,
on
but
ESPN.
nah, you can't do hot dogs.
Why not?
That's
That's
done.
Joey
That's
Chestnuts.
done already. You got to do something
Well,
different.
we got
true.
Bad Boy and Big T. We got 168 people watching us. They seem to like this hot dog talk.
I'm
right
down
now.
for whatever, man. Anything.
Well,
Just let me
chicken
know. I'm there.
sandwiches.
Big Macs, and then we'll do Big Macs. We'll do
There
Big
you go.
Macs.
McDonald's is
Big
terrible.
Macs.
Oh, get the what do you call it? The dollar cheeseburgers from McDonald's. Make it easy.
What dollar
20
It
cheeseburger?
ain't $1 no more. That
Oh,
Wait,
wait,
inflation
no,
hit.
it's $1.99 now, I think.
Nah,
I
they're
was
like $2.89, man.
Are they that
gone
much?
up. Yeah.
No,
They
no,
done
yo,
taxed us
Wendy's
on
got-
pretty often.
You guys got Wendy's. They got the junior burgers now, I think. You got the junior burger.
The solid
True.
burger
Wendy,
too.
yep.
You can't go wrong with Wendy.
Get like
Wendy's
20 each. Get like 20 each in the first one.
All
to
right, so
finish
you know
can
what?
win.
Before we get to closing thoughts, do you want to do the contest Memorial Day weekend or earlier than that?
Memorial Day. I like it, man. That's
Yeah, we'll
perfect
do
time.
Memorial Day.
All right, so we'll do it Memorial Day weekend. That's when we'll do it. It'll be America's Day. This unofficial kickoff of summer. Blockbusters, and we'll have the
Challenge
first
of the
ever.
century.
I'll promote it. I'll do
Yeah, you gotta
banners.
put
I'll
it
do
up.
video clips for it. The first ever competitive eating contest between Big T and Sad Boy. So we'll work out the details of what you're gonna eat, and yeah, we'll definitely do it. So before we'll figure that before we get to closing thoughts, anything else anybody wants to throw out there that's important on their minds before we get to closing thoughts for the eating? Anything else sports wise? Anybody else wants to bring up tonight?
Yes, real quick, actually, man. There was one part that Sad Boy left out. He had to finish that apology, but we didn't hear all of it.
With that
We just
apology.
need to hear the big part. I needed to hear, Mikey. The big
Apology
tip.
from Sad Boy. So change lanes, Sad Boy, and try to stay trendy with this.
Let's say it, bud.
I think the Bears have done a complete turnaround in the past couple years. Although I do think the Justin Fields trade set them back just a little bit, I think the Bears have a bright future. I want to apologize for the past 30 years of good Packer quarterback play that kept the Bears out of the number one spot. I do apologize for that. The 1985 Bears defense is the best defense of all time, in my personal opinion. The Buddy Ryan scheme was amazing. Walter Payton's a top 10 running back of all time.
Music to my ears. I love it. Bring it. Bring it. Come on, Mike. You're not done yet, buddy.
I guess the last one I can go off of is Devin Hester is one of, if not the greatest kick returner of all time.
I'll take it. There you go, man. Set your
Boy,
piece.
you
I'll
really- we're gonna make sure this clip goes on Instagram. We're gonna make sure. This might even go after we're off the air because this is Sad Boy. You really need to stay trendy more because this was really like you even said the 80 greatest defense. I mean the two. probably called and said, "Sad boy, you're definitely going for a cruising for a beating." But you know,
who's if somebody, whoever loses this eating contest, what's going to be the bet? Like, not just win, but maybe make the other guy wear the other guy's jersey, something like that.
If I lose, I'll buy a Bears jersey of Big T's choosing.
Wow.
Okay. All right. Okay. Hold on. Okay. If I lose, I will. If I lose, I'll buy a full head to toe Green Bay Packers outfit. I'll go hat to the socks, the shorts.
You gotta get that cheese head. You gotta get that cheese head. We actually have listeners. We have some of the wrestling guys. Oh my god, they would have a field day with that. Pun intended.
Deal.
We have Bon Jovi, Craven Rage, Nicholas Crenton, all those guys that
better feel confident to win, man. Because I don't know if I'd want to put all that stuff on either.
Oh no, I'm confident. Mikey knows I'm confident, man. You know, that's why he only said the jersey.
I'll do the whole gear too. I'll buy a jersey and socks and a hat and everything.
Hey, just a heads up, he seems to hate Caleb Williams, so that Caleb Williams jersey would look real nice on him.
Yeah,
he's been on air saying he does not like Caleb Williams very much.
And you got to paint your fingernails too, like Caleb.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Hair is colored.
Yeah. Hey, I feel like Jeff Hardy, baby. Come on.
Well, I mean, as much as I've seen a guy that looks like you in the ring, sad boy, that guy that looks like you, I wouldn't necessarily confuse him with Jeff Hardy. With all due respect,
I would. Hey, he'll do a swanton bomb. He playing with him.
Well, you know what? We'll certainly say that guy that looks like you hope to see him in the ring again one day, but I'll leave that for a different conversation. So it's before we move on to final thoughts, it's confirmed. Competitive eating contest, Friday, 11 o'clock on Sportswire, Memorial Day weekend. Big T Sad Boy. Sad Boy loses. He has to go and buy a Bears jersey of Big T's choosing. If Big T loses, he has to buy the full Packers gear and wear it on air.
Deal.
And when do you guys want to wear it on air? A couple of weeks?
Friday after. Yeah.
Okay. Boy, this is going to be fun. Okay, you know what? I think, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to make sure this is heard around the world. That apology in the first ever competitive eating contest on Sportswire Radio. I can't wait for this one. Boy, maybe we should even move this up to 10 o'clock that special Friday. Maybe we should move it up for a special Friday. We're going to flip the wrestling guys, but they're going to have to wait because this is a competitive eating contest. You know what? You guys are being moved up an hour. This is a big deal to have the first ever competitive eating contest. Maybe in history of any podcast. I don't know if has a podcast ever even had a competitive eating contest. Well, you're getting it live on Sportswire. So there you have it. All sports matters, including competitive eating. That's right, competitive eating. So we're going to certainly find out. But let me get to some closing thoughts here because we could talk all day about competitive eating, which is why it makes me want to eat. But Robert Roscoe, because you've got the Easter Bunny in the background, you're probably getting ready to wake up and wait for the Easter Bunny. I'm going with you with closing thoughts. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say, whatever else we missed, you can bring that up, and the floor is yours.
Just happy that baseball season's here. Excited. Hope both New York teams do well. It looks like the Yankees are pretty good. So, Chris, you're gonna have a fun season. I know that. I like that the Mets honored Buddy Harrelson by putting his number 3 on their uniforms. Yes. Very classy move. He meant a lot to the organization. And that's about it. I'm just a great show, guys. Having a lot of fun, and I can't wait.
Yeah, competitive eating. Got people watching us again. Viewership is up on YouTube, Twitter. I mean, impressions on Instagram are up. I mean, people.
Confidence is up.
Yeah, I mean, and that guy that used to talk about it, I mean, we'd love to see him on and tell us about that, but it seems like the consumer confidence is highest as it's ever been on Sportswire on the Friday night show. So I'm loving that. So let me go to you, DK, next. I want to give you some closing thoughts. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say while I pull up the TSF Takes Instagram page, and the floor is yours.
Nothing really. Just kind of now I'm looking forward to watching this eating competition. That's all that's on my mind right now.
Why aren't you looking forward to it?
I am looking forward to it.
Oh, good.
I'm very much so looking forward to it. It's going to be a nice little watch. But other than that, Michigan hockey, they played pretty well tonight. Got the win over North Dakota in the Frozen Four.
Yes.
And they're
Yes.
moving on to the next round and looking forward to see if they can go all the way this year.
Michigan, could be winning championship after championship, and maybe we should bring some of the guys on to do play-by-play and commentary. We'll all do some commentary. That's the TSF Takes Instagram page. So if you want to check them out, you can do that here. And Shane Davis is TBW. Maybe that's a sign of things to come, that maybe he's going back home. I would love to see him back in TBW, but that's a different conversation for a different time. Let me get to you, Scooby Stoney, for some closing thoughts. And this is going to be a lot of fun to hear what you have to say. And I'm even thinking we have some podcasts on the platform like Liftoff Jets and Talking Rivals. Well, not so much Talking Rivals, but Devil's State of Mind. Randy Dillon's got Hockey Fan Chatting for some of the hockey and football guys. Would love to see some collaborations, guys, guest spots maybe to talk about what's on their mind and get other people's perspectives. Maybe we can make that happen. But Scooby, I'm going with you next. And if you want to throw anything else when it comes to movies, whatever is on your mind, floor is certainly yours, my friend.
All right, I will give the Jets hype a break for just a second, and I will talk about something else. I'm going to talk about Deion Sanders making statements earlier this week, which I think usually I would be very upset about, but considering how much I like Shedeur Sanders, I'm going to bring up Deion's comments about he has 2 players on his team that are going in the top 4 of the draft next year, and one of them's going number 1 overall. I think that is something super bold to say, and usually I would come on here and say that is arrogant and something that could come back to bite him in the ass.
After a 4-8 football team last year, right?
But exactly. But considering how good they are, and I think a big key of college football is retaining your players from last year, I just think that there could be a lot of truth to what he's saying in a very arrogant way, in a very cocky way. I think that there is a great chance both of those guys go top 4 overall, and Shedeur being number 1 overall. So I think that on social media, people were not very happy about seeing the video. But I'm going to be this one devil's advocate guy where it's like, well, they're not a great team, but those are 2 great Heisman-capable players that are going to be great in the NFL too. So I will take his back on this and say I could very well see both of these guys going top 4 in the NFL draft and Shedeur going number 1. But to plug anything for my final statement, I will just say make sure you check out TSF Takes on all platforms and check out Scooby Stoney on YouTube. More YouTube videos coming soon.
And just last thing that you would imagine in Colorado would be a much improved football team as well, based off on that.
I would say, they're a program that's going from nothing to having all this hype and a couple of 5-star misfit recruits here and there. So I'm going to say maybe 2 more wins than last year would be a good bar to put them at until they get some time to turn the university around.
They could compete for a bowl game, basically.
Yes, they can compete for a bowl game, but as far as like being a ranked team or stuff that people want to see from them right off the rip, I don't know you're going to see immediately, but I would say definitely improved season, especially if you're getting Shedeur and Travis like healthy all year. I think you get 6 wins. You could beat some good teams along the way.
Real quick, how long do you think he stays in Colorado?
Shedeur?
No. Deion.
Oh, Deion. I think it'll be a minute. Are you talking about at the NFL level, or are you just like any other?
No, I don't know if he's going to go to the NFL, but
yeah, I was about to say that. I don't know if he'll ever be in the NFL coaching, but as far as another school, I would say I'm anxious to see how it goes without Shedeur there, because I think Shedeur covers up how bad of a football team they really are. I think Shedeur is a Alabama prospect playing in Colorado, and he could be playing anywhere. But as far as that, I want to see what Colorado looks like after Shedeur and Travis Hunter, because they might not want to keep Deion around forever if they're not seeing what they want to see, although he is bringing them so much clicks here and there. Yeah. But I want to see what it's like after this number 1 overall prospect is done playing for him, because, man, he keeps them in games they're not supposed to be in at all just because he's throwing this amount of yards, not turning the ball over. I mean, he's elite. So for right now, I would say 5 years, because I think that's a long enough time for you to see what the trend.
Snapshot. Yeah.
see what the trend is looking like for Colorado, and then reevaluate. But I don't know. I wish the best for Deion Sanders and Shador because, I mean, as arrogant, as cocky as they are, I think it's great. I love watching it. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, listen, the ratings spoke for itself. Like you said, earned engagements, earned media. Colorado is a program that hasn't been relevant, and I don't even remember the last time that they were relevant. And they were able to, get themselves in marquee spots, and I think that's and alone shows that he's done his job. And obviously, one day the question will be, will he coach at his alma mater? Will be the one day.
Is he going to go back to Dallas Cowboys? That's what everybody wants to see.
I don't know if he's going to do pros, man.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't think so.
Me either. And great stuff, Scooby. And always love the movie reviews and everything else that you're doing for us. And I want to thank Scooby for his hard work. And I'm going with you, Chris. Next, I'm looking forward to the Liftoff Jets show coming up this week. We're going to play it here. I can't wait to hear it. And I want to give you some closing thoughts. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say? Talking Rivals, I enjoyed this week. And I'm enjoying having these guys with us. It's adding something new, and we're getting into the business of live competitive eating. So there's a lot to look forward to here in the future. So, Chris, I'm giving you the floor. And anything else you want to plug, share, or say, fire away.
Tom, thank you very much, guys. Great show as always. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the eating contest for sure, man. I can't wait for it. It's gonna be like a pay-per-view.
I'm so excited about that. I'm so excited about that. It's gonna be great.
You know what? I've been actually watching some of the women's basketball, college basketball.
Yes, I actually had it on in the background today.
Yeah, there's some good games, man. Last week,
Texas was playing before was a really good game. Yep,
great games. I know everybody's on Caitlin Clark in Iowa, but I don't see Iowa winning. Just watching a few games I'm watching.
They struggled to even get them. They struggled.
And they're going to have a problem with any team that plays them physical, it seems like.
Yep.
They're not a physical team.
No.
So any team that wants to get a little more physical, and any team that's got a little bit of size on them is going to take care of them. Because I don't think Caitlin Clark's great. I mean, she hits from anywhere, and she's amazing. But just the team itself, I don't see them winning the championship this year. But so I'm definitely watching that this weekend. Thank God baseball's back. Yankees 2-0. Can't ask for anything better. We'll be covering it on Talking Rivals probably Monday, and then Wednesday we'll be catching up all the Jet stuff on Liftoff.
And I'd love to see even some of these guys go on the podcast. Like
you guys are always welcome, man.
Stoney, I would love to see that set up because that's always, it allows collaboration. That's what we're about on the Sportzwire. So,
I'm always open, man.
Yeah.
Anybody want to come on, just let me know.
I'd love to hear that. Yeah. Let's see that come up. And, definitely competitive. NBA playoffs are coming in. A lot, Rockets have been red hot. Lakers are hot. A lot of stuff in the basketball world we'll talk about, I'm sure, as we get into the postseason. You can follow Chris at CP7NY on all platforms. Charmer's doing a great job with him. Liftoff Jets, Talking Rivals on Twitter as well. And let me go to DK. I think I got your closing thoughts. Did I get you?
Yeah,
let's go with you next, Mr. Big T. I want to give you the floor because you're certainly going to be the man that's going to be on before I get to the last closing thought of Mr. Sad Boy himself. So, Big T, I know you're going to have a hot take and two, and hopefully you're going to be eating a lot coming up on Memorial Day weekend. So the floor is yours, my friend, and fire away.
Man, at least for the hot takes as of now, I like to be more so realistic. But I will say, if I had to say any sort of hot take now, the NFC North last year we saw Detroit topple basically the all three other teams that were in there with a 12-5 record. I don't know if you guys watched or pay attention closely, but the Bears team that was trying to piece together their team and kind of figure out their identity last year was a busted fourth down away from beating the Detroit Lions twice last year.
And the Bears had a lead, I think, in the second game by double digits against the Lions, and the Lions came on late to win that game.
Exactly. Yep. So I don't know, man. I think if we do piece it together, I think it's gonna make the NFC North very, very competitive. Not only
and the Bears could have beat the Packers the final game of the season. You're talking about a different Bears team right now.
And you can't forget about the Packers, man. For some reason, I don't know what it is, but Chicago's kryptonite's always going to be Green Bay. It will be like that until the end of
Bad Boys' fault. That's why.
Yeah, exactly. One more thing on my mind, though, man. I don't know if y'all got to see it or not, but I've had this pulled up here for a minute because I did want to make sure I didn't forget it. But I don't know if y'all keep up with rugby or anything, but the Chiefs have just signed a rugby star. I've been seeing a lot of stuff about them. Apparently, this guy's like sneaky good, man. I mean, he's smaller, but he's stocky, he's big. And we were just talking about the kickoff rule. It sounds really weird, man, but I do think the Chiefs will put a guy like that behind there just to be able to break through or break through a bunch of guys at one time. This guy he's got big legs, a big upper body. If they were to put him on a kickoff return in that same situation, it's similar to rugby with all these guys having to hit you and just being able to straight, I guess you could say, workhorse through everybody. I think you might see this.
Yep.
I think you might see this rugby guy returning kicks for them at one point in the season. That's something to watch out for.
That's a really good point. You know what? And that's a situational player being used for the new rule. I think that's a really, really interesting point. You know, when you look at do teams, dive into that more. We've seen from time to time rugby players in the league, but something like that's a big deal. That's a good take there, Big T. Anything else you want to share before we get to the final person? Okay, good deal, Big T, and can't wait till Memorial Day weekend. But certainly we didn't save the best for last. But I guess in this case we did save the biggest for last. Maybe we're going to start a new trend, Sad Boy, each week on the show. I think we're going to start a new trend. We're going to start a stay trendy. So this is what the new trend will be. You're going to close the show every Friday. We used to have this guy. His name was the Brute Force. He was the tallest guy, the biggest guy. He would give us the closing thoughts because he was kind of like this college basketball player. He was known, but a guy that looks like you has been seen in thousands of homes and, has been a near main eventer in a promotion that has, 7,000 plus subscribers and featured on Barstool Sports. So I was thinking, now we save maybe not the best for last, but the biggest for last in the closing thoughts of the one and only legendary Sad Boy. We'll see if he's the future first ever Sportswire Radio competitive eating champion. But until then, Sad Boy, I'm going with you with your closing thoughts. Anything else you want to plug, share, or say? The floor is yours.
It's been a slower week in the NFL, but I think the Hassan Reddick to the Jets trade is a lot bigger deal than people think. Hassan Reddick just came off, one of his best seasons, and he's only 28, 29. You have a veteran on that defensive line, and the defensive line gets better. Going into the draft, it was either, hey, do we get another receiver? Do we get an edge rusher? Like, what do we get? It's pretty set certain now. I think if Bowers falls to 10, Jets pick up Bowers.
Agreed.
You can follow TSF on all platforms. Follow It's Your Boy Shane doing our gaming at the moment.
Shane the link tonight for wrestling, and I thought he would have came on, and he didn't.
He has some stuff going on tonight. But,
good. I hope he's doing well. We love Shane.
Oh, yeah, he's doing great.
Love Shane. We know that.
You can find us on all platforms. We have the link tree up. My name is Sad Boyville. Sometimes it's Alan Michaels, but right now you can just call me Joey Chestnut Jr. Go into this. I'm
them fighting words. It's them fighting words.
We'll see, Mikey. We'll see, man.
Oh, the talk. Oh, I can't. This is going to be this is going to be a bumpy next several weeks. I mean, as we get close to Memorial Day weekend, everybody's talking about Tyson and Paul. But it's going to be about Big T and Sad Boy. I mean, that's going to be the talk. 100%. I mean, it's not even going to be any more about the NFL draft, the NBA playoffs. Is Cody going to finally win the championship? It's going to be Big T and Sad Boy. Who's going to win this competitive eating championship? And this is like a really, you guys may not be the same afterwards. I mean, this is really going to, forever change, your lives and your careers.
Next time we meet up, we'll do our own face-off before we actually.
I hope you guys
weigh-in. Oh, that'd be cool.
We can do the weigh-in here on Sportswire. We can do the weigh-in here. We want to do the weigh-in here. I think we can do that weigh-in live.
If we keep going with this production, we might need a little belt. We might need a belt.
We'll see. Stay tuned. I tell you what, we might be able to pull a string or two. There might be a way I might be able to pull that string, but we will definitely do a weigh-in if there's a willing away. So you know what? And Joe Del, you got to believe for the Mets, and you got to believe that competitive eating contest is coming to Sportswire Radio Memorial Day weekend, 10 o'clock live Friday. That Memorial Day weekend, circle your calendar. And also, we'll have a weigh-in, and maybe we will find a way to give you guys something. Definitely stay tuned for all of that. But if you're on Sportswire Radio, if you're on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, thank you so much for checking us out. If you're on Twitter especially, hit that sub button, TSF Takes. Hit that sub button, Sportswire Radio 6579. Follow us on Facebook at Sportswire Radio, Twitch at Sportswire Radio, Instagram TSF Takes, Instagram at the Sports Report 2021, Twitter at TSF Takes, Twitter at Thomas Price 2017 because you're already on my platform, CP7NY, Armor Oscar, Scooby Stoney, _tier 10L, DK Carey 91 on Instagram, Sad Boyville, Instagram, TSF Takes on all platforms. Follow us because you know you're liking us. You liked us last week. You like us even more this week. So make sure you support us because on Sportswire Radio, it's always about all sports matters. And we really did that tonight. We talked about competitive eating. We talked football. We talked hockey. We talked women's basketball. We certainly talked baseball. We talked wrestling tonight. We even talked the XFL. That must count, right? I mean, we literally did every single thing you can do. And that's why you need to keep and tune in with us each and every Friday night. So thank you so much for your support. Also, if you're out there, happy Easter. I hope you and yours, everybody out there enjoys it. I hope you're safe wherever you are. If you're like Chris Craven, who's a first responder out there in the Key Bridge, be safe. And if you're anywhere out there in the world, enjoy the times. Go out there and enjoy sports. This is the best time of the year for sports. You got the NBA in full gear, NHL in full gear, NFL draft. Baseball is back for the baseball guys. College basketball, March Madness, WrestleMania. And you've got here with us on Sportswire Radio to keep it dialed in and locked in with us. I'll have more coverage here throughout this weekend for you. We will all be back Friday night, 10 o'clock Eastern time. The wrestling guys kick it off. Coach Craven, Randy Dillon, TBK, and Ron Franklin for a cameo. And these guys come on a little after 11 o'clock, and you never know what we're going to talk about. We're a loaded gun. Anything can be pulled when the trigger comes out. That's why keep in tuned in with us. Thank you so much for your support. We were joined here by DK, Sad Boyville, Big T, who's certainly eating a lot, Scooby Stoney, and of course, the originals, Chris and Rob Morosky from Sportswire Radio. And I'll bet you one of these days soon, TSF Takes going into the Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame, definitely coming to this summer. But until then, my name is the Reverend Tom Bryce, your voice of all wrestling, where all wrestling matters and all sports matters. If you're on sportswireradio.org, you're going back to your regularly scheduled program. I'll be back with more coverage throughout this weekend. But until then, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. On the number one, global relation that is Sportswire Radio, where all sports matters. Brooklyn, Brooklyn, Brooklyn. Yep, and Sad Boy there looks like he's mad. And DK, go Predators, go Yankees, go Mets, go Bears. Especially for him, go Bears. Definitely, if we don't say go Bears, he's going to eat me, and we want to make sure he eats those hamburgers on the Memorial Day. We're just kidding, everybody. He's not going to eat us, but can't wait for more coverage on Sportswire Radio. Thank you so much, everybody. Enjoy the weekend. Be safe wherever you are.